Chapter 3781. Facing Azure Dragon's dissatisfaction, the Blood Ancestor directly turned his head and ignored it. Azure Dragon couldn't help but feel helpless. He was worried that Qin Feiyang might force him to give him the epitome of laws, so he didn't say it out loud. Unexpectedly, the Blood Ancestor helped him say it. Madman said in surprise, "Devour laws, life laws, 2 supreme laws, not bad." Azure Dragon didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At this age, if he hadn't comprehended 1 or 2 supreme laws, then he was really stupider than a pig. However, compared with these young people in front of him, there was really nothing to compare. Qin Feiyang pondered a little and handed the epitome of the laws of devour and life to Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon god was taken aback and then couldn't help but smile bitterly. As expected. Madman. Yun Xiang was also quite surprised. He never thought that Qin Feiyang would be so generous and give Azure Dragon 2 supreme law epitomes at once. Daifuka next to him had a look of envy. When would he be treated like Azure Dragon? But as soon as this thought came up, he couldn't help but laugh at himself. It was simply a daydream to be treated like Azure Dragon. Because no matter what, he couldn't compare with Azure Dragon. For example, Azure Dragon once protected the Sky Cloud realm and the human race. He was worthy of Qin Feiyang's respect and care. Only the Blood Ancestor wasn't surprised at all. Although he didn't spend much time with Qin Feiyang, he still knew Qin Feiyang's character. Azure Dragon had done so much for the Sky Cloud realm and the human race. With Qin Feiyang's character, he would definitely take special care of him. Moreover, now, Qin Feiyang also understood that the Human Emperor and the Feather Emperor were nurtured by the Azure Dragon and the 4 divine beasts. This undoubtedly deepened their relationship. Qin Feiyang was such a person. He would repay kindness. Although Azure Dragon didn't owe Qin Feiyang anything, Azure Dragon's kindness to the Human Emperor and the Feather Emperor was equivalent to his kindness. "Senior, please don't refuse." Qin Feiyang shoved it into the Azure Dragon's hands and continued, "You're not allowed to give it to anyone else either. To be honest, these 2 miniature versions of the laws are nothing compared to what you've done for the human race all these years." "I'm truly ashamed." Azure Dragon hurriedly waved his hand. "That's not something you should say. In the entire Sky Cloud realm, anyone can say the word ashamed, but you cannot. Because you have a clear conscience towards the Sky Cloud realm." Qin Feiyang said. "Why does it sound like this old man is very noble after hearing your words?" Azure Dragon was stunned. "You have always been great." Qin Feiyang smiled. Azure Dragon smiled bitterly. "I say, are you done yet, old man? This is a token of appreciation from a junior. Just take it. No one said anything about you. Why are you being so long-winded?" The Blood Ancestor looked at the Azure Dragon impatiently. All right. This old man will keep it. You all say that this old man is pretentious in front of others." Azure Dragon nodded. "That's right. With Qin Feiyang's character, if it were someone else, let alone the epitome of the strongest law, even if it's just a strand of hair, they can forget about plucking it from him." The Blood Ancestor said indifferently. Cough, cough. Qin Feiyang coughed and said speechlessly, "Old Ancestor, are you implying that I'm a miser? Isn't that the truth?" The Blood Ancestor asked. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Thinking about it, he was indeed like this to outsiders. There was no reason to refute. Madman frowned and said, "Old Qin, I have no objection to giving him the Devour Law, but don't you want to leave the epitome of the Life Law to your woman?" Yun Xiang was stunned when he heard this. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Sister-in-law also mastered the Life Law?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Yun Xiang was speechless. In his heart, he also felt admiration for Qin Feiyang. His woman mastered the life law, but he gave the epitome to an outsider. This kind of bearing was really not comparable to ordinary people. Then you should leave it for her. This old man only needs the epitome of the Devour law. Azure Dragon hurriedly said. No need. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. If the mermaid princess was here, she would definitely support him. Besides, the Sky Bell Divine Treasure had so many epitomes. If there was a chance in the future, he could just find another epitome of the life law. If his luck was good, maybe he could even find the inheritance of the ultimate profound meaning. Looking at the resolute Qin Feiyang, Azure Dragon shook his head helplessly and said gratefully, "Thank you, this old man will remember this kindness in my heart. You're treating me like an outsider." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and took out another epitome of the fire law and handed it to Daifuku. N. Daifuku looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. Although you also mastered the spacetime law, there is no other way. There are only these two epitomes of the spacetime law. I really can't give it to you, so I'm sorry. This epitome of the fire law, if you don't mind, you can keep it. Qin Feiyang smiled. Daifuku didn't know what to say for a moment. He never thought that Qin Feiyang would give him an epitome, let alone an epitome of the strongest law. But he never expected that not only did he take the initiative to give him an epitome, but he also said it so politely, making him feel embarrassed. Because ever since he met Qin Feiyang, it was Qin Feiyang who took care of him. He didn't do anything at all. The one who should say sorry the most should be him. Take it. Qin Feiyang is already very generous to give you an epitome of the fire law. Think about it. You have been with the Feng people for so many years. What have the Feng people given you? The blood ancestor said lightly. I don't mind it. Really. I don't even dare to think about it. I'm just very ashamed. I didn't help at all and even took an epitome. Daifuku hurriedly explained. So that's the case. The blood ancestor nodded in realization and said with a smile, It seems that I have misunderstood you. I apologize. No need, no need. Daifuku waved his hand repeatedly. He couldn't afford the blood ancestor's apology. Qin Feiyang stuffed the epitome into Daifuku's hands again. Thank you. Daifuku smiled gratefully. It's okay. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the impatient Frenzy and Yun Xiang. He said with a smile, The two of you can take it yourselves. When Frenzy and Yun Xiang heard this, they didn't have any intention of being polite. They directly pounced forward and each grabbed an epitome of the spacetime law. Yun Xiang rolled his eyes and quickly reached out with his other hand to grab the epitome of the destruction law. Yun Xiang, you are too much. Seeing this, Madman immediately roared. What? You haven't grasped the destruction law, yet you want to snatch it from me? Yun Xiang happily hugged the two metal boxes, guarding against Frenzy as if he was guarding against a thief. Who said I don't have it? Besides, Old Qin has it too. Old Qin has been in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure for so long, but he hasn't found a suitable epitome. You can't let him work for nothing, right? Don't be so selfish. Frenzy said angrily. Yun Xiang was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang opposite him. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, If you really want it, then take it. As for me, you can look for it later. If you don't feel embarrassed, then take it. Frenzy sneered. Yun Xiang laughed dryly and reluctantly put the epitome of the destruction law back on the coffee table. He was a little embarrassed. Because Qin Feiyang was already good enough to him. Not only did he give him a sovereign weapon to protect himself, but he also helped him take care of his family. He couldn't snatch it from Qin Feiyang. Otherwise, he would definitely become a topic of gossip. At least you still have some conscience. Frenzy coldly snorted and glanced at Qin Feiyang. He said unhappily, "Can you not be so generous? There is a saying, every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. We're all on the same side." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "Don't be angry. In fact, I was just testing him to see what his true character is like." "I see." Frenzy suddenly understood. This guy was indeed full of traps. Qin Feiyang glanced at Yun Xiang. From the current point of view, this person was still not bad. He turned to look at Blood Ancestor and said with a smile, "Ancestor, what about you?" Blood Ancestor glanced at the remaining 12 epitomes of ordinary laws and then looked at the epitome of the death law and the time law. Of course, he didn't care about the epitome of ordinary laws. He had already grasped the ultimate meaning of the death law and no longer needed it. In this way, only the time law was left. However, during this period of time, he had been crazily devouring the souls of the undead to improve the time law. And now, he had a small harvest. He was confident that before leaving the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, he could definitely rely on absorbing the souls of the undead to improve the time law to the ultimate meaning. So, if he fused with this epitome of the time law now, it would be a waste. "Forget it, you can keep it first." Blood Ancestor pondered for a while before looking at Qin Feiyang and shaking his head. "You don't want it?" Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, "Didn't you grasp the time law?" Blood Ancestor smiled and said, "Aren't I devouring the souls of the undead to improve the strength of the time law? If you encounter another epitome of the destruction law, you can leave it for this ancestor." "You also grasped the destruction law?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes." Blood Ancestor nodded. "Amazing. Death law, time law, destruction law, as expected. None of you old monsters are simple characters." Frenzy laughed. Cough, cough. Blood Ancestor coughed a few times and said with a dark face, "Can you at least give me some respect?" "What old monster? It sounds so unpleasant. You want respect?" Frenzy pointed at Qin Feiyang and said indifferently, "Look for him. He will definitely respect you. Don't be rude." Blood Ancestor rolled his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Since we've been assigned, let's hurry to the next stop. Aren't you going to train? Why are you still with us?" Qin Feiyang looked at Frenzy and Blood Ancestor suspiciously. "The Divine King of Chaos has already issued a kill order. What's there to train for? Brother Wolf and his wife have a dozen rulers' divine weapons. As long as they don't encounter the Divine King of Chaos, they can still protect themselves. But the Ancestral Patriarch and I only have 4 rulers' divine weapons in total. It's not enough to fill the gaps between their teeth." Frenzy pouted. "Huh. You actually have times when you're afraid." Qin Feiyang was surprised. "I'm warning you, don't make fun of me. If I get angry, I won't recognize anyone." Frenzy glared at Qin Feiyang fiercely. He also felt unlucky in his heart. Why was there a bounty order for him? He hadn't even strolled around the Sky Bell Divine Treasure yet. Chapter 3782. This kill order really came at a bad time. The Blood Ancestor was also a little irritated. If there wasn't a kill order, he could still hunt the puppets and devour the souls of the undead without restraint. But now, he had to start worrying. Because once the commotion was too big, it might attract the attention of the Divine King of Primal Chaos and the other Demon Kings. If he couldn't hunt freely, it would be a bit difficult to strengthen the law of time to the ultimate level. Azure Dragon smiled and said, "It's good that everyone is together. At least we can take care of each other." "Okay." Daifuku also nodded in agreement. Now he was also very worried about Princess Xiaofan. Although as the madman said, Princess Xiaofan and the White-Eyed Wolf had more than a dozen ruler divine weapons, what if they encountered the Divine King of Primal Chaos? Not to mention the Divine King of Primal Chaos, even if they only encountered 2 Demon Kings, they would still be in trouble. Moreover, this time, the Divine King of Primal Chaos had issued a kill order to all the ruler divine weapons and undead in the entire Sky Bell Divine Treasure. In other words, the enemies they were facing now were not only terrifying existences like the Divine King of Primal Chaos, but also all the ruler divine weapons and undead. No one knew how many ruler divine weapons there were in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. No one knew how many undead like the black-clothed middle-aged man who had mastered the ultimate level of the law of time. So, the future was worrying. It's useless to worry. Let's take it one step at a time. Besides, don't we already have the qualifications to negotiate with the Divine King of Primal Chaos? Maybe there will be a turn for the better. Qin Feiyang smiled comfortingly. It seems that we can only count on the undead barrier breaking pill. Otherwise, from this moment on, we will fall into a difficult situation in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. The Blood Ancestor shook his head. The madman looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Are there any more herbs?" "There are still Yin-Yang wood and death fruit, but the Yang Thunder fire is troublesome." "Wait. It seems like we did not check the universe rings carefully. Could there be the extreme Yang Thunder fire in them?" Qin Feiyang glanced at the dozens of cosmos rings on the table, his eyes full of expectation. If there was, then he wouldn't have to search everywhere for the extreme Yang lightning fire. "Then quickly search carefully," the Blood Ancestor urged. He then turned to the middle-aged man in black who had been standing outside the door and shouted, "Don't just stand there. Come in and help." "Me?" The middle-aged man in black pointed at his nose and asked, "Can I go in?" As for the 9 Flames divine staff, it had already hidden inside the black-clothed middle-aged man's body. "Nonsense. Didn't I just ask you to come in and help?" The Blood Ancestor was speechless. Was there something wrong with his comprehension ability? "I've already explained it so clearly, but you still don't understand." All right. The middle-aged man in black nodded and carefully stepped into the castle. It was as if the castle wanted to eat him. "It's very safe here. He won't do anything to you." The Blood Ancestor was powerless. The black-clothed middle-aged man smiled in embarrassment. He walked to the tea table quickly and searched every cosmos ring carefully with Qin Feiyang and the rest of them. "Oh right, what's your name?" Qin Feiyang looked at the black-clothed middle-aged man and asked. "Li Zhongsheng." The black-clothed middle-aged man thought for a moment and answered. "Li Zhongsheng?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, "Is that your real name?" Li Zhongsheng shook his head and said, "No, but now it is. Because I've been reborn, I'm called Li Zhongsheng. As for my previous name, it's all in the past." "So, you've recovered your memories from your previous life?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes. After I succeeded in transcending the tribulation, I've recovered my memories from my previous life. But memories are painful, so it's better not to mention them." Li Zhongsheng shook his head. Qin Feiyang took a deep look at Li Zhongsheng and didn't ask any more questions. There must have been a terrible battle before the Heaven Bell Divine Treasure became like this. Li Zhongsheng might have witnessed the tragic deaths of his family members one after another in the suffering of the Heaven Bell Divine Treasure, so he didn't want to recall it. He was also sure no one was willing to mention such a memory again. The Blood Ancestor asked, "Then how many Heaven Bell Divine Treasures are there for undead like you who have mastered the strongest and ultimate profound?" "I really don't know how many there are. As far as I know, there are about 40 to 50 of them." Li Zhongsheng pondered for a moment and said. "No way." Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. Li Zhongsheng alone knew so many of them. "So from now on, you all have to keep a low profile, because they will all come after you." It's best if you can find a place to hide in the future and don't show up again. When the time comes, quickly leave the Heaven Bell divine treasure. Now, Li Zhongsheng had to consider the safety of Qin Feiyang and the others. Because now, he had already boarded the pirate ship. If Qin Feiyang and the others were in danger, then he would also be in danger. He was in greater danger. Because the Chaos Divine King and the Demon Kings would not let go of those who betrayed them. Hide, Madman murmured and laughed, this is really not our style. Besides, if we really hide, we might not be able to leave the Heaven Bell divine treasure in the future. Why do you say so? Li Zhongsheng was suspicious. Because they will definitely seal the exit of the Heaven Bell divine treasure. Madman said. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang and the others couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. They actually didn't think of this point. Since the Chaos Divine King had already issued the order to kill, then he would definitely order to seal the exit and might even send the Demon Kings to guard the exit. This was equivalent to sealing their way out. So, no matter what, we have to face them head-on. We can't escape. Madman said. Sigh. Li Zhongsheng sighed faintly and said, it seems that we can only hope that the undead barrier-breaking pill can make the Chaos Divine King compromise. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Yes. Our only hope now is the undead barrier-breaking pill. Madman nodded. I found something. Suddenly. Daifuku's voice sounded. Qin Feiyang and the others hurriedly looked over and saw Daifuku take out an iron box. This iron box was the size of an adult's palm. There was a seal on it. The blood ancestor took the iron box and quickly erased the seal. When he opened it, he saw a cluster of lightning fire the size of an infant's fist quietly floating inside, emitting an extremely pure yang aura. There really is one? Madman was stunned. Qin Feiyang also had a trace of joy on his face. He took the extreme yang lightning fire from the blood ancestor and said, you guys continue to search. I will refine one first in case of an emergency. Okay. Everyone nodded. After a while, Qin Feiyang walked out with a jade box. Inside the jade box lay an undead barrier-breaking pill. After a while, everyone finally searched all the universe rings, but they only found the extreme yang lightning fire from before. Li Zhongsheng explained, the extreme yang lightning fire is extremely harmful to the undead, so under normal circumstances, even if they see it, they won't touch it. Do you have it? Qin Feiyang asked. No. Li Zhongsheng shook his head and continued, I have encountered a few extreme yang lightning fires before, but I don't know if they have been taken away by anyone. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and asked, is it far? Not far. If we run through all of them, it should only take about 2 years. Li Zhongsheng said. Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. How could 2 years be considered not too long? It was really difficult for them to adapt to this concept of time. Because in the Sky Cloud realm, 2 years was enough for them to do a lot of things. But it was understandable. After all, the situation in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure was different. Here, they couldn't open a space-time tunnel or activate a teleportation divine artifact. No matter where they went, they could only rely on flying, which naturally increased the time cost by a lot. In that case, there is no need to go through so much trouble. Because if the Primal Chaos Divine King is really interested, he will definitely send someone to look for it. Qin Feiyang said. Makes sense. Now, we just need to find him and verify the ability of the undead barrier-breaking pill in front of him. As for what happens next, it will depend on our luck. Yun Xiang sighed. This kind of situation where their lives were not in their own hands was really unpleasant. Don't think too much, the more you think about it, the more you have a headache. While the news hasn't spread to the entire Sky Bell Divine Treasure yet, let's hurry and find more law miniatures. Qin Feiyang said. There was no way to send messages here, so the speed of the kill order spreading was very slow. Although the sovereign divine weapons could communicate with each other, not all of them had a contract bridge, so now, they still had some time to prepare. Lead the way. The blood ancestor looked at Li Zhongsheng and said. Whoosh! Immediately. A group of people rushed out of the ancient castle one after another. As for the remaining law miniatures, Qin Feiyang placed them in the hall of the ancient castle. Because right now, there was no place safer than the ancient castle. When the ancient castle disappeared from Qin Feiyang's body, the group of people disappeared at lightning speed under the lead of the sovereign divine weapon, Nine Flames Divine Staff. They definitely had to let the sovereign divine weapon carry them. After all, the speed of the sovereign divine weapon was fast and could save them a lot of time. About half a month later. Under Li Zhongsheng's guidance, Qin Feiyang and the others arrived in front of a glacier. Whoosh! The cold wind whistled, and the cold current was bone-chilling. It was as if they had entered a cold winter. But before entering the glacier, Li Zhongsheng suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at Li Zhongsheng suspiciously. Li Zhongsheng looked at the glacier, and his eyes seemed a little unusual. What are you looking at? Frenzy was curious. Li Zhongsheng retracted his gaze, looked at Qin Feiyang, and sighed, I actually didn't want to bring you here. Why? Everyone was puzzled. Because the undead here is a woman. Li Zhongsheng said shyly. Woman? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other, and their faces became strange. In short, don't hurt her later. If possible, it's best to persuade her to come with us. If we can help her get rid of her undead body, that would be great. Li Zhongsheng said with a pleading look. Do you like this woman? Frenzy looked at him teasingly. Li Zhongsheng's old face turned red. This question was too direct. Frenzy patted Li Zhongsheng's shoulder and grinned, Old Li, everyone has a love for beauty. This is a very common thing, what are you afraid of? Ha, Li Zhongsheng laughed dryly. Chapter 3783. Yun Xiang pondered for a moment and frowned, after all this time, you brought us here for yourself? You can't say that. Li Zhongsheng hurriedly shook his head. Then what should I say? You like her, but she definitely doesn't like you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought us here. Think about it yourself. Aren't you using us to help you get the beauty back? Yun Xiang looked at him in disdain. No, no, no. I'm not using you. I'm purely helping you. We're a family now. Aren't you going to help me with such a small matter? Li Zhongsheng was unhappy. I have to help. After all, it's your lifelong matter. But I'm curious. How beautiful is this woman to make you care so much about her? Qin Feiyang smiled. See, Qin Feiyang is still the best. Li Zhongsheng looked at Yun Xiang in disdain, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, her beauty is average, but she's very charming. Madman asked, then, does she also grasp the ultimate meaning of the strongest law? Yes. Not only does she grasp the ultimate meaning of the strongest law, but she also grasps the ultimate meaning of the ice law. Look, this glacier was created by her law of ice. And she also has a sovereign weapon. But her temper is a bit bad. In the past, cough cough. I've been beaten by her many times. Li Zhongsheng laughed dryly. Beaten by her? Madman was surprised and asked, you're still not her opponent? That's not it. My strength is about the same as her, but as a man, how can I bully a woman? You guys are right. Li Zhongsheng said. Yes. Women are meant to be doted on. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. When Li Zhongsheng heard this, he immediately gave Qin Feiyang a thumbs up and said with a smile, "I can see that brother is definitely a man who dotes on his wife." Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He looked up at the glacier and said, "Why don't you go look for her first? We can observe the situation in the dark first. Then you can't leave him to die. If this woman gets angry, I won't be able to handle it." Li Zhongsheng hurriedly said. "Don't worry. This time, I'll definitely help you win the heart of a beauty. However, we won't just give up on the law miniatures in her hands." Qin Feiyang said. "Worldly possessions don't matter." Li Zhongsheng chuckled. He was as wretched as he could be. The corners of Qin Feiyang and the others' mouths twitched. At first glance, they knew that this person was not someone easy to deal with. "Then I'll go first?" Li Zhongsheng asked. "Go. We'll be in the dark." Qin Feiyang activated the concealment art and brought Madman and the others into stealth mode. Li Zhongsheng was stunned. He actually disappeared into thin air. What kind of technique was this? However, he didn't think too much about it. Because when he thought about how he was going to hug the beauty, he couldn't help but feel excited. He turned around and took the 9 Flames Divine Rod and rushed into the glacier like lightning. Qin Feiyang and the others followed closely behind. Scram! But just as they entered the glacier, a cold shout sounded from the center of the glacier. The excited Li Zhongsheng immediately stopped in the void and looked at the center of the glacier with a flattering smile. "Sister Shui, it's me. I know it's you. It's because I know it's you that I told you to scram." The woman's voice sounded again, incomparably cold. "Don't be so heartless. I won't do anything to you. I just came to see you. After a few glances, I'll leave." Li Zhongsheng's expression froze. "No need," the woman said indifferently. Madman was stunned. With this woman's attitude, Old Li has no chance at all. Everything depends on effort. Qin Feiyang smiled and transmitted his voice. "Old Li, be tough. Don't be like a soft-footed shrimp. Women look down on cowardly men the most." "Am I a coward?" Li Zhongsheng frowned. "What do you think?" Qin Feiyang asked back. Li Zhongsheng gritted his teeth and looked up at the center of the glacier. "You won't let me go? Then I'll go find you." After saying that, he braced himself and flew toward the center of the glacier. "Bastard, are you courting death?" The woman was silent for a while, as if surprised by Li Zhongsheng's sudden change of attitude. But then, an angry shout sounded. Boom! A terrifying cold current swept across the sky, covering the heavens and earth. Li Zhongsheng said angrily, "Sister Shui, if you do this, don't blame me for being impolite. I usually give in to you. Do I need you to give in?" The woman snorted coldly. "Okay, you said it." Li Zhongsheng took a step forward and a terrifying murderous aura surged out like a sea of blood, crazily surging toward the cold current. Boom! The two great power of laws collided with a loud bang, causing the sky and earth to crack and the glacier to collapse. "You with the surname Li, how dare you destroy my cultivation place? I'm not done with you." Accompanied by an angry roar, a snow-white figure broke through the sky like lightning and landed in front of Li Zhongsheng. This was a woman around 30 years old. She was more than 1.7 meters tall and wore a snow-white dress. Her long hair was as white as snow and her slender waist was slender. Her skin could be broken with a flick of one's fingers and there were no wrinkles at all. It could be said that this woman could definitely be called a beauty of a generation. But she was a little cold. A cold that kept people thousands of miles away. Damn. This is called average? Old Li's standards are a little high. Madman was stunned. It's not that his standards are high, but there's a problem. Look, such a cold woman, what charm does she have? Yun Xiang looked at him in disdain. You don't understand this. Some men like this kind of woman. The colder the other party acts, the more he wants to conquer her. Madman chuckled. I don't understand. Yun Xiang shook his head. It's okay. When you meet a woman you like in the future, you will naturally understand without us teaching you. Madman put on the posture of an experienced person, causing Yun Xiang to roll his eyes. Sister Shui, don't be angry. I didn't do it on purpose, I apologize to you. Looking at the aggressive woman, Li Zhongsheng, who was awe-inspiring earlier, was like a mouse that saw a cat. He quickly put on a flattering smile and looked at the woman with a fawning look. If an apology is useful, what's the use of the law? The woman's face was as cold as frost. She raised her hand and a wave of destruction law surged out. The ultimate profound, destruction heavenly eye, appeared, exuding an aura of destruction. Ultimate profound. The pupils of Qin Feiyang and the others shrank. She was indeed a terrifying powerhouse. Sister Shui, let's talk nicely. Li Zhongsheng was even more flustered. Didn't Qin Feiyang say that women liked strong men? Why didn't it have any effect at all? Instead, it completely angered this woman? What are you afraid of? Fight with her, it's not like we can't beat her. Madman secretly said. What rotten idea is this? How can I bully Sister Shui? Not doing it. Li Zhongsheng shook his head. What are you mumbling about? Who are you talking to? The woman raised her eyebrows and looked at him suspiciously. Li Zhongsheng said with a flattering smile, who else can it be? Of course it's that bastard God Rod. What does it have to do with me? The Nine Flames divine rod was dissatisfied. Was it specially used to take the blame? Nine Flames divine rod? The woman was slightly taken aback and nodded. I agree with this point, it is indeed a bastard. Your sister. Who did I provoke? The Nine Flames divine rod was very unhappy. If you want to pick up a girl, then pick up a girl. Why are you pulling me into this? You even made me get scolded. Li Zhongsheng secretly laughed, for the sake of your brother's lifelong happiness, just bear with it. Bear with it, your sister. You don't have any backbone at all. No wonder she doesn't like you. Watch carefully, see how this sovereign will deal with her today. The Nine Flames divine rod coldly snorted, and its divine might erupted as it directly attacked. Don't. Li Zhongsheng's expression changed. But the Nine Flames divine rod turned a deaf ear and directly smashed towards the destruction heavenly eye. Shit stirrer, what are you trying to do? Suddenly, a cold shout rang out, and a 3 feet long sword flew out from the woman's body. This long sword was snow-white, as if it was condensed from ice and snow. Snowflakes floated around it, crystal clear and beautiful, but the cold air was oppressive. Sovereign divine weapon. Madman's eyes lit up. And the artifact spirit was a woman. It was the first time he had encountered a female artifact spirit. Sister Bing. When the God Rod saw this sovereign divine weapon, his attitude immediately changed 180 degrees, and he went up to her in a fawning manner. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. This God Rod was also a bootlicker? Indeed, birds of a feather flocked together. One person and one staff, they were all the same. Li Zhongsheng was also extremely speechless. Just now, he was in high spirits and threatened to teach the other party a lesson, but now that he saw the ice snow divine sword appear, he instantly shamelessly stuck to it. Was this the so-called backbone? Forget it. The ice snow divine sword coldly snorted, don't try to get close to me, I'm not familiar with you. The God Rod said with a flattering smile, don't be like this, have you forgotten how Big Brother took care of you back then? Shut up. The ice snow divine sword reprimanded. Okay, I'll shut up. Sister Bing. Let's go to the side and enjoy the scenery. Don't blame them, what does their life and death have to do with us? Let me tell you, a few days ago, I found something very interesting, I'll tell you secretly. The god Rod chuckled. What kind of interesting thing? The Ice Snow Divine Sword seemed to be interested. I'll tell you later. The god Rod smiled mysteriously. Don't lie to me, otherwise, I'll beat you up. The Ice Snow Divine Sword snorted coldly. How would I dare? The god Rod vowed solemnly. Thus, the Ice Snow Divine Sword followed the god Rod and ran to the side without looking back, whispering and laughing from time to time. This scene, not only Qin Feiyang and the others, but even Li Zhongsheng and the woman were stunned. She was abducted just like that? The woman came back to her senses and glared at Li Zhongsheng angrily. It's all your fault for leading Bing astray. Judging from the way he addressed her, it was obvious that he had a very special relationship with the Ice Snow Divine Sword. What does it have to do with me? I'm also very helpless. Li Zhongsheng's face was bitter. Look at the god Rod, he easily abducted the Ice Snow Divine Sword. Look at him, he had worked hard for so many years, but he was still the same. The other party didn't have a good attitude at all. A dignified man, but he couldn't even compare to a Dominator divine weapon. What a failure. Chapter 3784. It seemed that he had to learn from this swindler. Otherwise, he really didn't know when he would be able to take down this ice beauty. Sister Shui, calm down. I'm really not here to cause trouble. Looking at the angry woman in front of him, Li Zhongsheng retreated while softly comforting her. Because he knew this woman's temper too well. If he didn't quickly extinguish her anger, it would definitely be an uncontrollable situation. You destroyed my cultivation place, and you dare say you're not here to cause trouble? The woman's eyes were cold. You forced me to do this. I didn't want to do it either. But I can't just stand here and let you beat me. If standing here and letting you beat me can make you leave with me, then I'm very willing. Li Zhongsheng revealed a smile that deserved a beating. The woman's face was dark. He had already died once, so why was he still so indecent? Madman retracted his gaze and transmitted his voice, seeing that they won't have any results if they continue to dawdle like this. I have a good idea. Bad idea. Qin Feiyang suddenly said. The veins on Madman's forehead bulged as he said angrily, as long as it's a useful idea, it's a good idea. Yes, yes, yes. Qin Feiyang quickly nodded and said with a smile, then tell me, what's the bad idea? Madman rolled his eyes at him and waved his hand at the others. Qin Feiyang and the others went over. Madman chuckled and whispered a few words in their ears. It's indeed a bad idea. The corner of Blood Ancestor's mouth twitched. Ancestor, why are you like this too? Can't we still have fun? Madman was dissatisfied. Blood Ancestor laughed and said, although it's a bit deceptive, it's indeed the most direct and effective way. That's right. Madman bared his teeth and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Okay. Qin Feiyang and the others nodded one after another. They couldn't waste too much time here. Then let's do it. Madman laughed sinisterly. Boom. Immediately. Accompanied by a terrifying divine might, Qin Feiyang and the others' sovereign divine weapons appeared one after another, and their stealth state was immediately broken. Who? The woman and the Ice Snow Divine Sword were shocked. Li Zhongsheng and the Nine Flames Divine Staff were stunned. Don't make any noise, just cooperate with us. Madman secretly said to Li Zhongsheng. He looked at the woman with his nose in the air and said to Li Zhongsheng, I've been looking for you everywhere. So you're here. Isn't the primal chaos god king chasing after us? Madman smiled arrogantly. The woman sized up Qin Feiyang and the others in surprise and asked, "Could you be Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor?" "Yes. They are Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor." Madman pointed at Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor. The woman immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and the ice snow divine sword. Her eyes were filled with shock. They actually had so many sovereign divine weapons. Clang! At this moment, the 9 flames divine staff and the ice snow divine sword also flew over and floated beside Li Zhongsheng and the ice snow divine sword. What's the situation? The 9 flames divine staff was suspicious. But the ice snow divine sword was facing a great enemy. I don't know. Just cooperate with them. Li Zhongsheng thought. Jiu Yan's divine soul pondered for a moment and also guessed that Qin Feiyang and the others were probably helping Li Zhongsheng. He then angrily said to Qin Feiyang and the others, "You guys are really like ghosts that won't disperse. You actually chased us all the way here. For those who want to kill us, even if they run to the ends of the earth, we won't give up." Madman sneered. "You've already seen them?" the woman asked. "Yes. I didn't expect them to follow us here. I'm sorry. It's my fault," Li Zhongsheng said apologetically. The woman frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. The ones who gave the order to kill you are the Primal Chaos Divine King and the 10 Demon Kings. We are just following orders. If you want to look for someone, you should look for them. Madman said in surprise, "Seeing you guys quarrel so fiercely before, I thought you guys were enemies. But now, you are actually pleading for him?" Li Zhongsheng's heart moved. That's right. Sister Xue was actually speaking for him. This was not in line with Sister Xue's personality. Could it be that Sister Xue actually has him in her heart? The woman looked at Li Zhongsheng and said coldly, "I'm not pleading for him. I'm just talking about the facts." Talking about the facts? Sorry. What we saw is that he has already attacked us. He wants to kill us so that he can ask the Primal Chaos Divine King for credit. If we didn't have so many sovereign divine weapons, we would have died in his hands. So, he must die. Madman's eyes flashed. He pointed at Li Zhongsheng and shouted, "Horsetail Whisk, Sword of Death, help kill him." Clang! The 2 sovereign divine weapons immediately awakened and charged at Li Zhongsheng with overflowing divine might. Are you serious? Li Zhongsheng's expression changed. He quickly turned around and ran. Madman shouted, "If you dare to run, this daddy will kill this woman." Li Zhongsheng's body stiffened. He quickly stopped and turned to look at the woman. There was also a trace of panic in the woman's eyes. Although she also had a sovereign divine weapon, the other party had more than a dozen. They were not on the same level. Seems like you care about her. Madman smiled mockingly. He looked at the Horsetail Whisk and Sword of Death and said, "Let's kill that woman first. Since she dares to provoke us, let her feel some pain first." Clang! Hearing this, the Horsetail Whisk and Sword of Death immediately charged at the woman. "No!" Li Zhongsheng roared and quickly stepped in front of the woman. Seeing Li Zhongsheng disregarding his own safety to protect her, the woman was a bit dazed. He's really not afraid of death. Then let's fulfill his wish. Madman shouted coldly. The 2 sovereign divine weapons coldly charged forward. At this moment, Li Zhongsheng could feel that Madman was not joking. The 9 Flames God Rod was also a bit puzzled. This act was too realistic. No. He couldn't just stand there and do nothing. He had to do something. You guys are going too far. The 9 Flames God Rod roared and charged at the Sword of Death and the Horsetail Whisk. What are you 2 little lackeys standing there for? Go and help. The Edgeless Heavy Sword shouted. Hearing this, the void mirror and cauldron were enraged and charged at the Nine Flames god rod. Damn! They're serious? The Nine Flames god rod's expression changed. Because the anger of the void mirror and cauldron didn't seem fake. Actually, the Nine Flames god rod was unlucky. The void mirror and cauldron were only angry because of the edgeless heavy sword. They were actually ordered around like lackeys. But there was nothing they could do. The edgeless heavy sword had Qin Feiyang's support. They didn't dare to offend it, so they could only vent their anger on the Nine Flames god rod. The three sovereign divine weapons clashed. The Nine Flames god rod that was used as a punching bag couldn't hold on. At the same time, the horsetail whisk and the sword of death also arrived in front of Li Zhongsheng. Li Zhongsheng glared and roared, "Sister Shui, hurry up and leave." Then, like a moth to a flame, he pounced at the horsetail whisk and the sword of death. "Old Li," the woman cried out, tears rolling down her cheeks. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, Li Zhongsheng screamed and smashed down like a meteorite, his entire body dripping with blood. The woman immediately rushed down and caught Li Zhongsheng, her face full of concern. Li Zhongsheng apologized, "Sister Shui, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to lure them here." "I know." The woman nodded. "I was afraid that you would misunderstand and hate me in your heart. Now, even if I die, I can be at ease." Li Zhongsheng smiled. "What nonsense are you talking about? None of us will die." The woman glared at him, looked up at Qin Feiyang and the others, and said in a deep voice, "I have a law miniature here, I will give it all to you, I only ask that you spare his life." Law miniature? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. In order to save Li Zhongsheng, she was actually willing to take the initiative to hand over the law miniature? It seemed that this woman didn't hate Li Zhongsheng as much as she seemed on the surface. "Sister Shui, you," Li Zhongsheng also looked at the woman in shock. "They are all worldly possessions, how can they be more important than my life?" The woman smiled slightly, looked up at Qin Feiyang again, and asked, "What do you think?" "Okay." Frenzy nodded. The woman immediately waved her hand, and 4 light shadows rushed out from the universe ring, quickly flying in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. These were 4 iron boxes. There was also the aura of a seal on them. When the woman unlocked the seal, 4 powerful auras immediately roared out. The woman looked at Qin Feiyang and the others, and said, "These 4 miniature are the law of metal, law of earth, law of darkness, and law of life. I will give them to you, I hope you can keep your promise." Law of life? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This came too quickly. Azure Dragon was also stunned for a moment, then revealed a relieved smile. Half a month ago, Qin Feiyang gave him the Law of Life's miniature, and he had been feeling guilty because it should have belonged to the mermaid princess. Therefore, now that he saw Qin Feiyang get another Law of Life's miniature, his heart felt a lot more at ease. "Not bad. You are even willing to give us the Law of Life's miniature." Frenzy smiled, looked at the bloody Li Zhongsheng, and transmitted his voice, "Old Li, it seems that this woman still cares about you." Li Zhongsheng was helpless. Was this still acting? Was there such a thing as acting? It had almost cost him his life. However, looking at the woman in front of him, taking out the Law of Life's miniature for him, he was really touched. Wait a minute. Although this play was indeed wonderful, how should he end it later? If this woman knew that he and Qin Feiyang had teamed up to deceive her, wouldn't she peel off his skin? When he secretly told this concern to Qin Feiyang and the others, Frenzy responded with a sentence, "We only care about digging a hole, not about burying it." Hearing this answer, Li Zhongsheng even had the heart to die. Wasn't this deliberately trying to trick him? Since he wanted to be a good person, then he should be a good person to the end. How could he give up halfway? Teasing you. We have already thought of a plan to deal with the aftermath, you just need to do as we say. Frenzy secretly said. That's good. Li Zhongsheng breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't want to become a meat sandbag later. Chapter 3785. While Li Zhongsheng was secretly communicating with Qin Feiyang and the others, the woman was quite nervous. She was worried that Qin Feiyang and the others would go back on their word and not let them go even after receiving the law epitome. Icy Snow Divine Sword solemnly said, "Since you have received the law epitome, shouldn't you fulfill your promise now?" "What promise?" Madman looked at it suspiciously. Hearing this, Icy Snow Divine Sword and the woman's hearts were instantly filled with anger. Are they really going back on their word? Promises are just nonsense. You guys actually believed it, too naive. Madman shook his head and sneered, looking like a villain. Bastard! Icy Snow Divine Sword angrily said. However, Madman's words changed again. However what? Icy Snow Divine Sword and the woman were suspicious. There seemed to be a turning point. I won't hide it from you guys. Actually, we don't intend to kill you guys. Madman smiled. What do you mean? The woman was even more surprised. If they don't intend to kill them, why are they here? Boss Madman, calm down, don't trick me. Li Zhongsheng wailed in his heart. Don't worry, I can trick anyone but my brother. Madman secretly smiled. Why do I find it so hard to believe? Li Zhongsheng muttered. He had a feeling that Madman wasn't too reliable. Madman smiled, you guys are all powerhouses that have grasped the ultimate meaning. It's a pity to kill you, so as long as you join us, we naturally won't kill you. After all this time, you want us to submit? The woman frowned. That's right. Of course, you guys can choose to refuse. But the final outcome, I don't need to say it, you guys should know. Madman chuckled. The woman's heart sank. What's the difference between submitting to these people and dying? Because these people are the targets of the Divine King of Primal Chaos. Once they submit, it is equivalent to becoming the enemy of the Divine King of Primal Chaos. Not to mention the Divine King of Primal Chaos, even the 10 Demon Kings aren't people they can offend. You, follow me. Madman suddenly looked at Li Zhongsheng and said. What? Li Zhongsheng was terrified. Don't talk nonsense, otherwise, this daddy will kill you. Madman snorted. Li Zhongsheng nodded. Okay. As long as you promise me that you won't hurt Sister Shui, I'll go with you. Don't worry. It might still be a good thing for you. Madman smiled mysteriously. Li Zhongsheng turned to look at the woman and comforted her, don't worry, everything will be fine. Yes. The woman nodded. She was touched that he was still concerned about her. Let's go. Li Zhongsheng looked at the mad scientist like he was ready to die for the greater good. Madman's mouth twitched. This person's acting was really top-notch. Immediately after, Madman called for his horsetail whisk and the sword of Thanatos, seemingly escorting Li Zhongsheng and flying towards the mountain range outside the glacier. What is he trying to do? The blood ancestor was suspicious. He should be helping Old Li clean up the mess. Qin Feiyang smiled. Endgame? Yun Xiang and the others were stunned. Yes. Old Li is acting with us to deceive this woman. With this woman's temper, if she finds out about this, she'll definitely be furious. Therefore, we must deal with the aftermath properly. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. I see. They nodded and looked at the woman again. They found that she was looking at Li Zhongsheng's back with worry in her eyes. Obviously, Old Li had a chance. Half an hour passed. Boom! In the distant mountain range, there was a faint sound of thunder. Looking at the distant sky, there seemed to be thunder buzzing. What's going on? The woman was very surprised. But because the distance was too far, she couldn't sense what it was. Another long time passed. Madman finally brought Li Zhongsheng back. The woman looked up at Li Zhongsheng and couldn't help but be stunned because she found that Li Zhongsheng's face was glowing. Sister Shui. Li Zhongsheng also ran to the woman excitedly. What's wrong? The woman was suspicious. Why was he so excited? Take a good look at me now. Li Zhongsheng stood in front of the woman. The woman looked at Li Zhongsheng and frowned. Is there any difference from before? Not the appearance, but the inside. Li Zhongsheng said. The inside? The woman raised her eyebrows and angrily said, how can the inside of a person be seen with the naked eye? You misunderstood. What I mean is, you can use your inner sight to check the situation of my body. Li Zhongsheng smirked. Then tell me more clearly, the inside. The woman glared at him and released her inner sight to envelop Li Zhongsheng. There's nothing different. Wait a minute. Suddenly, her eyes trembled. It seemed that she couldn't sense any undead qi in Li Zhongsheng's body. How is that possible? She quickly checked again and sure enough, she couldn't find any undead qi. Looking up at Li Zhongsheng, she asked, what's going on? It's that madman, he gave me a pill. After going through the baptism of the tribulation, I got rid of my undead body. In other words, I'm now a living person, I can give birth to children and pass on the legacy of my Li family. Li Zhongsheng shouted excitedly. Give birth to children? Qin Feiyang and the others were speechless as they heard that. So you got rid of your undead body just to pass on your legacy? But they also understood. Madman brought Li Zhongsheng so far in order to create the illusion of the baptism of the tribulation. Because Madman grasped the ultimate meaning of the law of thunder, it was still possible for him to create this illusion. As long as the distance wasn't too close and the woman couldn't sense the aura of the law, then it wouldn't be exposed. As for this woman, although Li Zhongsheng had long gotten rid of his undead body, because the two of them were at loggerheads when they first met, he didn't pay much attention to it. Besides, whether it was for this woman or for other undead, it was impossible to get rid of their undead body, so they wouldn't pay much attention to it. Therefore, he could get away with it. A living person, sure enough. The woman looked at Li Zhongsheng in disbelief. There was actually such a pill in this world? Getting rid of his undead body, this was simply a miracle. One must know. For undead, what was more tempting than getting rid of their undead body? Nothing. Even in their dreams, they were thinking of being reborn. One could imagine how big of an impact Li Zhongsheng's change had on her. Li Zhongsheng smiled and said, Sister Shui, he promised me that as long as we can submit to them, he will also help you get rid of your undead body. You should submit to them? The woman frowned. Li Zhongsheng nodded. You, the woman glared at him angrily. Sister Shui, for us, is there anything more important than being reborn? He helped me get rid of my undead body, which is equivalent to my rebirth parents. Not to mention submitting to them, even if I have to die for them, I am willing. Li Zhongsheng said righteously, but then he laughed and said, of course, the premise is that I have to leave behind a son and a daughter first. Although it was a bit emotional, the woman didn't object because this was the truth. Sister Shui, I know your concerns. You are worried about the divine king of chaos and the 10 great demon kings. But let me tell you, I just heard from Madman that they have already killed the Queen of Flame. Li Zhongsheng whispered. What? Killed the Queen of Flame? The woman was shocked. Ice Snow Divine Sword was also shocked. I also can't believe it. With their strength, how can they be a match for the Queen of Flame? As Li Zhongsheng spoke, he turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and gave him a meaningful glance. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and took out the fragment of the flame magic sword. This is, looking at this fragment, the the woman's eyes widened. That's right. It's the flame magic sword. I have seen it once from afar. Ice Snow Divine Sword said with a trembling voice. The flame magic sword's weapon spirit was very unhappy. To think that it, an intermediate dominator divine weapon, actually had to cooperate with these ants to act? It felt sullen just thinking about it. Amazing. It seems that we have all underestimated you. Li Zhongsheng also pretended to be shocked and said to Qin Feiyang and the others. You flatter me. Qin Feiyang smiled and then kept the fragment. Sister Xue, what are you still hesitating for? Also, Frenzy has already told me their plan. They are going to take this pill and negotiate with the Divine King of Chaos. Think about it, when the Divine King of Chaos sees this pill, how will he react? He definitely won't be able to stay calm. At that time, they might be able to reconcile with the Divine King of Chaos. In this way, not only can we get rid of our undead bodies, but it is also equivalent to having a backer. Li Zhongsheng instigated. Actually, he was doing this mainly for himself. Because only when the woman surrendered, he would have the opportunity to be with her day and night. The woman looked at Li Zhongsheng and then at Qin Feiyang and the others. She clenched her fists and said, I hope that everyone can take care of me in the future. Hearing this, Li Zhongsheng was overjoyed. Qin Feiyang and the others also smiled. Why are you so excited? The woman turned her head and glanced at Li Zhongsheng. This happiness, why does it seem a little abnormal? Li Zhongsheng's heart trembled. He seemed to be a little too happy and quickly explained, you can also get rid of your undead body, of course I'm happy. The woman nodded, not doubting it. Qin Feiyang looked at the woman and smiled. I haven't asked for your name. Xiao Xue. Xiao as in Xiao Xue, Xue as in Xiao Xue. Li Zhongsheng said first. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. Can't you calm down a little? If you accidentally let her see that we are colluding to deceive her, I'll see how you deal with it then. Moreover, your behavior will make the woman feel disgusted. She will think that you are ignoring her existence. Yes, yes, yes. Li Zhongsheng shuddered and replied in secret. As expected, Xiao Xue glared at Li Zhongsheng with dissatisfaction. Li Zhongsheng smiled embarrassedly and stood at the side obediently, not daring to say anything. Xiao Xue, joining us isn't just a matter of words. You have to make a blood oath. Don't use the word loyalty, but at least you won't betray us. Qin Feiyang smiled. Blood oath? Xiao Xue was suspicious. Li Zhongsheng whispered, previously, Frenzy also made me make a blood oath. I heard that it is a kind of oath that can be fulfilled. It can even destroy a sovereign weapon. What? Xiao Xue was shocked. You talk too much. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at Li Zhongsheng. Can't you wait for Xiao Xue to make a blood oath first? If you say it now, others will definitely have misgivings. What a useless teammate. Chapter 3786. Okay. I won't say any more. I won't say anything. Li Zhongsheng was also puzzled. Why did everything he said feel wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at Xiao Xue and smiled faintly. You don't have to worry too much. As long as you don't violate the blood oath, the heavenly tribulation will never appear. In other words, you're still free. It's just that you can't betray us. Are you sure that I'm still free? Xiao Xue asked. Yes. You just met us and don't understand us. It's understandable that you're wary of us. But please believe me. We're definitely trustworthy partners. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Looking at Qin Feiyang's sincere face, Xiao Xue hardened her heart and nodded. Okay, I, Xiao Xue, hereby make a blood oath that I'll fight alongside you and never betray you. It's useless to talk about it, I need your blood essence. Qin Feiyang smiled. Xiao Shui decisively refined a drop of blood essence and began to make the blood oath. Once the blood oath was made, an oath seal fell with lightning speed and fused with her body. Looking at this scene, Xiao Shui was amazed. She had lived for so many years, but she had never seen such an oath before. Then, I can help her get rid of her undead body now, right? Li Zhongsheng thought. Why are you so anxious? Even if you want to marry her and have children with her, shouldn't you get her first? Qin Feiyang transmitted and rolled his eyes. No matter what, he had lived 2 lives. Why was he behaving like a child? But didn't you say that she has me in her heart? Li Zhongsheng was doubtful. That's one thing. Whether we can get together in the end is another. So, you'll have to continue working hard in the future. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Given how you're acting now, I'm afraid you'll never have any hope. Qin Feiyang thought. Then what should I do? Li Zhongsheng calmed down and humbly asked for guidance. What kind of man do women like? It's nothing more than someone who can give them a sense of security, someone they can rely on, and someone who truly cares about them. So first, you have to calm down and stop behaving like a child. Qin Feiyang said. And then? Li Zhongsheng asked. Then, you will always be by her side to protect her. Xiao Shui has a cold and prideful personality. If you want to conquer her, you'll have to establish a great image in her heart so that she can slowly start to worship you. All in all, there's absolutely no harm in talking less and doing more in the future. Qin Feiyang thought. All right. Li Zhongsheng pondered for a moment and nodded. Xiao Shui had no idea that Qin Feiyang was communicating with Li Zhongsheng. Looking at the silent Qin Feiyang, she asked, that. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I know what you want to say. Before that, the ice snow godly sword must also make a blood oath. Xiao Shui looked at the ice snow divine sword. Why do I have to make a blood oath? The ice snow sword was displeased. Yeah. Bing is very innocent, she won't betray us. Xiao Shui immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and said. No matter how innocent she is, she's still a sovereign weapon. I don't need to tell you the consequences of a sovereign weapon's betrayal. I'm eliminating all possibilities. Besides, it's precisely because she's innocent that she can be used by others. Qin Feiyang said. The ice snow godly sword snorted coldly and said, What if I'm not willing? If you're not willing, then I'll have to destroy you. Qin Feiyang said without hesitation. Don't. Xiao Shui immediately stood in front of the ice snow godly sword. Her attitude of protecting the ice snow godly sword was very firm. Qin Feiyang glanced at Xiao Shui and the ice snow godly sword and said with a smile, I can see that the two of you have a good relationship, but it's precisely because of this that you should consider for Xiao Shui. I think you don't want to make things difficult for her, right? Since a tough attitude wouldn't work, he would use reason and emotion. As expected. The ice snow godly sword fell silent. In short, I won't restrict your freedom. Making you make a blood oath isn't to control you, it's just to make my heart feel more at ease. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. All right. The ice snow godly sword sighed helplessly. Bing, thank you. Xiao Shui looked at the ice snow godly sword gratefully. It's fine. What's the deal? No matter who it is in the future, we can't abandon each other. The ice snow godly sword chuckled and then followed Qin Feiyang's instructions and made a blood oath with its artifact spirit as the guide. Madman looked at Xiao Shui and the ice snow godly sword and said, the relationship between the two of you is really unusual. How did the two of you meet? This is also fate. Back then, Bing was surrounded by several undead that wanted to forcefully subdue her, but she refused to submit and resisted with all her might. At that time, I happened to pass by and saved Bing, when those undead weren't paying attention. Later on, those undead chased after us, and the two of us almost lost our lives several times. In the end, we met Old Li and Fraud, and only then did we escape. This is also the reason why Bing likes Fraud so much. Xiao Shui smiled. So that's the case. Madman came to a realization and chuckled, then why don't you like Old Li? Xiao Shui's cheeks turned red and she coldly snorted, you guys have seen him for yourself. He's like a brat and is not reliable at all. Which woman would like him? Since when? I'm only like this in front of you. Li Zhongsheng's face was filled with grievance. Don't talk to me. Xiao Shui glared at him. Li Zhongsheng looked at Qin Feiyang and the others in despair. Qin Feiyang secretly laughed, Old Li, this isn't something we said. It's Xiao Shui who said it herself, so you have to quickly change it. Hearing this, Li Zhongsheng looked at Xiao Shui pitifully and asked, Shui, if I change it, will you not hate me so much? Let's talk about it after you change it. Xiao Shui turned her head away, appearing incomparably cold and arrogant. Li Zhongsheng lowered his head in disappointment. Why are you even more stupid than us? Can't you tell? As long as you change it, you will still have a chance in the future. Madman was speechless. Really? Li Zhongsheng's eyes lit up again. Also, how can you ask her such a question in front of her face? Women are thin-skinned to begin with. Would she personally tell you that if you change it, she will like you? Pig brain. In the past, old Qin's EQ was already low enough. Looking at it now, your EQ is even lower than his. I'm really worried about your marriage in the future. Madman shook his head and sighed. Don't pull me into this, okay? When has my EQ ever been low? Qin Feiyang was unconvinced. Don't be unconvinced. If it wasn't for the mermaid princess being dead set on you, you would only be a bachelor for the rest of your life. So, this isn't due to you. It's due to the mermaid princess. Madman spoke in disdain. Qin Feiyang's expression stiffened. Thinking about it carefully, that seemed to be the case. Can you help me now? Xiao Shui looked at Qin Feiyang again, her eyes filled with anticipation. I do have one more departed spirit barrier breaking pill, but I want to wait until I meet the primal chaos divine king and let you consume it in front of him. Only then will the value of this pill be fully displayed. Qin Feiyang said. You really want to look for the primal chaos divine king? Xiao Shui was shocked. Of course. If this matter isn't resolved, none of us can leave the Sky Bell divine treasury. Qin Feiyang's face was filled with worry. That's true. Xiao Shui nodded. If you can help me find the extreme Yang Thunder Fire, I can give you this departed spirit barrier breaking pill right now. Qin Feiyang smiled. Extreme Yang Thunder Fire? Xiao Shui was stunned and asked suspiciously, what do you need it for? Qin Feiyang smiled. The extreme Yang Thunder Fire is one of the ingredients for the departed spirit barrier breaking pill. Is that so? Extreme Yang Lightning Fire. The Heavenly Bell Divine Treasury does indeed have a lot of it, but everyone avoids this thing. Very few undead would treasure it. I'm no exception. However, I know of a place with an extreme Yang Thunder Fire, but I don't know if it has been taken away by other departed spirits. Xiao Shui said. Shui, you're talking about the Blazing Mountain Range, right? Li Zhongsheng asked. Xiao Shui nodded. Li Zhongsheng looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, why don't we go to the Blazing Mountain Range to take a look? Moreover, I remember that there's an expert hiding in a valley near the Blazing Mountain Range. How strong? Qin Feiyang asked. About the same as us. But I don't know if he's still there. Li Zhongsheng shook his head. Alright, let's go to the blazing mountain range to take a look. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and nodded with a smile. Then, he looked at the blood ancestor and said, "Ancestor, since we've decided to take the initiative to attack, you don't have to hide anymore." "What do you mean?" The blood ancestor looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, "What I mean is that you can go ahead and hunt the skeletons, devour their souls, and take the initiative to lure the primal chaos divine king and the others over." "Are you using me as bait?" The blood ancestor was stunned. "Don't make it sound so bad. Don't you want to quickly raise the power of the law of time to the ultimate level?" Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. The blood ancestor rolled his eyes at him. He looked at Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng and asked, "How far is the blazing mountain range?" "About 5 or 6 days of travel." Li Zhongsheng smiled and said, "Okay then. You guys go directly to the blazing mountain range. I'll slowly hunt along the way." The blood ancestor's eyes flashed fiercely. "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. Anyway, the sovereign divine weapons could communicate with each other. If the blood ancestor was in danger, he could inform them immediately. Besides, not only did the blood ancestor master 2 ultimate intents, but he also had 2 sovereign divine weapons. As long as he didn't encounter the divine king of primal chaos and the other demon kings, he would have no problem protecting himself. So, under the lead of the Jiuyan divine staff, the group of people rushed toward the blazing mountain range like lightning. A fierce look flashed across the blood ancestor's eyes. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the glacier below. 3 days later, the blood ancestor's fierce name spread along the way. Because of the hunting order, many of the undead and sovereign divine weapons in the Sky Bell divine treasure already knew what the blood ancestor looked like. The undead and sovereign divine weapons didn't know about the blood ancestor's existence because they hadn't received the hunting order yet. And the undead in this area, obviously, they had received the hunting order. It's really the blood ancestor. The divine king of primal chaos has already given the order to hunt him down, and he still dares to come and hunt us without any scruples. Many of the undead heard the news that the blood ancestor was wantonly killing their own kind in this area. They couldn't believe it at first. This was because a slightly normal person would definitely hide when faced with the pursuit of the divine kings and the various demon kings. But after confirming it again and again, they found that it was really this person. How could this be? The news spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, and soon, it reached the ears of the undead who had formed bodies and the sovereign divine weapons. Chapter 3787. At the peak of a tall and majestic mountain, there was a huge building. It was an ancient palace. It was 1,000 feet tall, completely blood-red, and filled with a terrifying murderous aura. This place was darker than other places, and the void was filled with wisps of bloody mist. It was like hell. Most importantly, in all directions, neither the undead nor the sovereign weapons dared to take half a step closer to this place. It was as if this was a forbidden area that absolutely could not be set foot in. At this moment, the door of the ancient palace was tightly shut. Inside the tightly shut main hall, there was a child in blood-red clothes sitting cross-legged. This child was about 7 or 8 years old. He wore a blood-red robe, and his hair was blood-red as well. It was as if he had just been soaked in blood. His eyes were closed, as if he was meditating, but also as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. He looked very peaceful, but there was a thick murderous aura between his brows. A sovereign weapon has sent news. Suddenly, a voice resounded in the void of the main hall. The child's eyelids moved, but he did not open his eyes. He asked, "What news?" "They found the blood ancestor." The voice sounded again. "The blood ancestor." The child finally opened his eyes, revealing 2 dark red pupils. It was as if there were two seas of blood surging in his pupils. Whoosh! He stood up, took a step forward, and appeared outside the ancient palace. He looked at the ancient palace and said, "Lead the way." The blood-red ancient palace at the peak of the mountain immediately rose into the air, and with the child in blood-red clothes, it transformed into a ray of bloody light and tore through the sky like lightning. Wherever they went, whether it was the skeletons or the undead that had condensed their bodies, they all knelt down and kowtowed. Another 3 days passed. Another vast expanse of mountains and rivers. This place was enveloped in flames all year round. The ground was crimson red, and magma surged. It was like a scorching furnace. This was the Flame Mountain Range. Whoosh! The group flew to the edge of the mountain range and looked at the Flame Mountain Range. "It's here." A cold and arrogant woman spoke. It was Xiao Shui. The madman sensed for a moment and chuckled. "I don't sense the aura of the law of fire. This is purely a volcano. There's nothing to worry about." "Where is the extreme yang lightning fire?" Qin Feiyang turned to look at Xiao Shui and asked. "At the crater in the middle of the mountain range." Xiao Shui said. "Let's go." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the group flew into the air above the mountain range, heading straight for the center. A short while later, they saw the crater of the volcano. The crater of the volcano was about 300 meters high, and waves of rolling red magma were constantly spewing out from it. "Strange?" Xiao Shui looked at the crater and frowned. "What is it?" Qin Feiyang and the others were suspicious. Xiao Shui scanned the crater and said, "In the past, I could sense the aura of the extreme yang lightning fire from afar. Why can't I sense anything now?" Qin Feiyang and the others were taken aback for a moment. Immediately, their divine senses rolled out in all directions. Very soon, the group couldn't help but frown. In this mountain range and at the bottom of the mountain range, other than flames and lava, there was no extreme yang lightning fire. "Looks like it has already been taken by another undead." Li Zhongsheng turned to look at Qin Feiyang and shook his head regretfully. "We came all the way here, but in the end, it was a wasted trip." "How unlucky." Yun Xiang was quite annoyed. "It's a very normal thing, there's nothing to be angry about." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Although Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng weren't interested in the extreme yang lightning fire, it didn't mean that other undead weren't interested. For example, the black-robed old man. Wasn't there a extreme yang lightning fire sealed in his universe ring? Madman turned to look at Li Zhongsheng and Xiao Shui and asked, "You guys seem to have said that there's an undead in a nearby valley? Could it have been him who took it?" "It's possible. I'll take you guys there. However, it's best to retract your aura, so as not to scare him and let him slip away," Xiao Shui said. Hearing this, everyone retracted their aura and followed Xiao Shui out of the mountain range. About half a day later, they quietly arrived in front of a barren mountain. As far as the eye could see, the entire barren mountain was covered in a layer of miasma, and the vegetation was decaying. It was like a death zone. "He hasn't left yet." Xiao Shui swept her gaze over the miasma in the barren mountain and couldn't help but smile. "Why do you say so?" Qin Feiyang and the others were puzzled. "Because this miasma is one of his methods." Xiao Shui smiled. Qin Feiyang and the others were even more puzzled. Miasma could also be used as an attack? Don't underestimate this miasma. It's actually formed from poison. Because this person is an old poison. Even a strand of hair, a drop of sweat, contains poison. Xiao Shui explained. "It's that exaggerated?" Qin Feiyang was astonished. "It's not exaggerated at all. He likes all kinds of poisonous things the most and likes to eat them as food. To him, there's nothing in the world that's more tempting than poison." In short, the more poisonous something is, the more interested he is. It might be related to his physique, or it might be because of some other reason, but he doesn't fear any poison. Even those poisons that can instantly kill us are like delicacies in his eyes. And this miasma is the natural poison emitted from his body. Xiao Shui said. Damn. He's really an old poison. Madman was secretly speechless. So, we have to be careful later. To be honest, I didn't want to provoke him at all. The last time I saw him, we only had a short chat face to face, but the poison nearly attacked my heart. If I hadn't used my power of law to expel the poison in time, I'm afraid I would have died. Xiao Shui's expression was extremely grave. Even a ruler expert can be poisoned? Qin Feiyang and the others were astonished. Yes. Xiao Shui nodded. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. It seemed like they had to be careful. I know a little about this old poison. Although he's indeed terrifying, he's still lacking when compared to the other old poison. Li Zhongsheng said solemnly. You're talking about him? Xiao Shui looked at Li Zhongsheng in surprise. Yes. Li Zhongsheng nodded. Xiao Shui's eyes were filled with fear. There's another old poison? Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. Yes. This old poison is one of the 10 great demon kings, the myriad poison demon king. It's said that this person was born with a special constitution that contains poison. It's said that the poison on his body can only be resisted by a ruler weapon and an ultimate profound. Li Zhongsheng said. What? The hearts of Qin Feiyang and the others were filled with shock. This was too terrifying. If such a person were to descend upon the Sky Cloud realm, wouldn't he be able to turn the Sky Cloud realm into a land of death? I hope we won't encounter the myriad poison demon king in the future. Li Zhongsheng shook his head and sighed. He looked at the miasma on the barren mountain and asked, Sister Shui, this poison shouldn't pose any threat to us, right? Xiao Shui said, with our strength, it won't in a short time, but as time passes, the poison will attack our heart. Then let's end this quickly. A cold light flashed in Li Zhongsheng's eyes. Ever since Xiao Shui said that he was like a child, he had been working hard to change. Compared to the past, he had become much calmer now. Swoosh! A group of people rushed into the barren mountain. The poison immediately rushed in from all directions, and an unbearable itch appeared on their bodies. It was as if there were countless small insects crawling on their bodies, gnawing on their flesh and blood. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, they didn't dare to release their law force to expel the poison, so they could only endure. About 10 breaths of time. They finally saw a wooden building. The wooden building landed beside a lake. The water in the lake had a strange green color. There was no doubt that the water in the lake was highly toxic. Friends from afar, isn't it a pleasure? Suddenly, a hoarse voice sounded from inside the wooden building. Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. They had already been discovered? How did they discover them? One must know. They didn't reveal the slightest bit of aura throughout the entire process, nor did they make any movements. Even the 9 flames divine rod was like a ghost. Sister Shui. Li Zhongsheng turned to look at Xiao Shui. I've only met him once. Xiao Shui shook her head. Obviously, she didn't know what was going on. However, since they had already been discovered, there was no need to hide. Qin Feiyang and the others activated their law force to expel the poison from their bodies. In 10 breaths of time, a large amount of poison had already seeped into their flesh and bone marrow. They could feel that their flesh and bone marrow were rotting bit by bit. If they didn't expel it quickly, they would probably turn into a pool of blood in the end. And they also discovered. The law force of the 5th profound was still unable to expel the poison. Only a law force that had reached the supreme profound could forcibly expel or refine it. This was inconceivable. A mere poison gas could actually reach the level of the ultimate profound? To them, this was simply unheard of. It turned out that poison could also be strong to this extent. You must be careful. Azure Dragon secretly reminded them. They hadn't even officially met, but this old poison had already brought them such a terrifying crisis. Naturally, they didn't dare to be careless. Qin Feiyang landed in front of the wooden building, cupped his hands, and said, "Junior Qin Feiyang has rashly come to visit. I hope Senior can forgive me." Qin Feiyang? Sha Yu's voice was stunned, seemingly a little surprised. It also seemed that he already knew about the Divine King of Primal Chaos's pursuit order. Then, the door slowly opened. An old man in a black and gray robe walked out of the wooden building. He held a walking stick in his hand. He was bony and trembling, as if he would be blown away by a gust of wind. However, his deep-set eyes, his snake-like eyes, emitted a dangerous aura. His body was also shrouded by black-gray air currents. This was the manifestation of the poison gas. The poison gas had already materialized. One could imagine how shocking the poison contained in his body was. "It's really you." The old poison looked at Qin Feiyang and laughed with a hoarse voice. However, his laughter was filled with a bone-chilling feeling. To be recognized by Senior, this junior is truly honored. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The old poison was stunned. Facing him, he wasn't nervous at all. Then, he looked at Frenzy, Yun Xiang, Azure Dragon, Daifuku, Li Zhongsheng, Xiao Shui. When he saw Xiao Shui, the old poison was shocked. Chapter 3788. Long time no see. Xiao Shui smiled coldly. The old poison frowned. "Why are you with humans? I have already submitted to them." Xiao Shui hesitated for a moment before finally telling the truth. "What? You actually submitted to them? You are making an enemy of the Primal Chaos Divine King. Do you know what the price is?" The old poison was shocked. "I know." Xiao Shui nodded. "Then why are you still doing such a foolish thing? Perhaps Qin Feiyang has the means to contend against the Primal Chaos Divine King. You won't be in any danger with him now, but what about after he leaves the Sky Bell Divine Treasure? You should know that you won't be able to leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. When Qin Feiyang leaves, you will be all alone. If the Primal Chaos Divine King wants to kill you, it will be as easy as flipping his palm." The old poison said solemnly. "What? You won't be able to leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure?" Qin Feiyang looked at Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng in bewilderment. The two exchanged glances and nodded. "Indeed, we won't be able to leave. Why didn't you say so earlier?" Qin Feiyang frowned. This matter was very important. Just like what the old poison said, if they couldn't leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng would be alone here in the future. At that time, how would they face the wrath of the Primal Chaos Divine King and the various Demon Kings? Even if he could use the Undead Barrier Breaking Pill to build a good relationship with the Primal Chaos Divine King and the others now, what about after he left? After leaving, he didn't know what the Primal Chaos Divine King would do. He would be powerless to stop it. Xiao Shui said with uncertainty. "In the past, it was indeed impossible because we were all undead. But if we can get rid of our undead bodies, I think we won't be restricted anymore. In that case, as long as you get rid of your undead bodies, you can leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure?" Qin Feiyang asked. "To be honest, I'm not sure. Because such a thing has never happened before." Xiao Shui shook her head. "Get rid of your undead bodies? Are you guys dreaming?" Old Poison sneered. Xiao Shui raised her brows and looked at the old poison. There's nothing impossible in this world. Huh, the old poison laughed and pointed at Qin Feiyang and the others. They won't promise you anything to help you get rid of your undead body, will they? Do you think you would believe such a ridiculous thing? After living 2 lives, how can you still be so naive? When Xiao Shui heard this, a trace of anger crept up between her brows. There's no need to be angry. Qin Feiyang stopped Xiao Shui and smiled at the old poison. Senior, we didn't come here to argue with you. Then what is your purpose here? Old poison said. Qin Feiyang asked, I heard from Xiao Shui that there is an extreme young lightning fire in the Flame Mountain range. When we went to look for it just now, we found that it had been taken away by someone. May I ask if it was Senior who took it away? Why are you looking for the extreme young thunder fire? Old poison was suspicious. This junior wants to refine a kind of pill that requires the extreme young thunder fire. If the extreme young thunder fire is really in your hands, this junior is willing to buy it at a high price. Qin Feiyang smiled. Pill? The old poison became more and more depressed. What kind of pill would require the extreme young thunder fire? He secretly pondered for a while and then looked at Qin Feiyang and jokingly said, that extreme young thunder fire is indeed in my hands, but do you think I need to buy it at a high price? As undead, not to mention money, even divine crystals and soul stones were useless to them. Senior, please state your conditions. This junior will try his best to fulfill them. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. You said it yourself. I have 2 conditions. You can choose one of them. First, one of you and the Blood Ancestor stay behind and follow me to see the Primal Chaos Divine King. The Primal Chaos Divine King has supreme treasures that are more valuable than your money. Any one of them will be enough to make my strength soar. Second, the inheritance of an ultimate intent. As long as you can fulfill either of my conditions, I will immediately give you the extreme young thunder fire. The old poison smiled greedily. Hearing these 2 conditions, Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist immediately raised their eyebrows. Yun Xiang, Daifuku and Azure Dragon also had a trace of anger on their faces. This was obviously deliberately making things difficult. How could the value of the extreme young thunder fire compare to the inheritance of an ultimate intent? Not to mention the lives of Qin Feiyang and the Blood Ancestor. Senior, aren't you making things a little difficult for me? Qin Feiyang smiled and said in a very polite tone. If you think it's too much, you can turn around and leave. I won't force people to do things they don't want to do. Old Poison chuckled. So there's no room for negotiation? Qin Feiyang asked. His patience was reaching its limit. No. Don't be impatient. You are the one begging me, not the other way around. The old poison shook his head. Beg? Qin Feiyang smiled. The mad scientist and the others also smiled. The old poison raised his eyebrows. My attitude towards you is already very polite, calling you senior. What? Do you think that I am afraid of you just because I call you senior? No. I respect you. I thought that my respect for you could exchange for your respect for us, but I was still too naive. For someone like you, even if you condense a body of flesh and blood, you won't be able to change your greedy nature. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. The old poison's heart trembled and he said in a deep voice, You better think carefully. Where is this place? Where is this place? Are you talking about this barren mountain or the Sky Bell Divine Treasure? If you are talking about this barren mountain where you live, I really don't care. If you are talking about the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, I'm sorry, but I don't think the Sky Bell Divine Treasure is that scary. I also don't think that the Sky Bell Divine Treasure's undead and sovereign divine weapon will fight to the death with me, Qin Feiyang, for you. Since you don't want to listen to our discussion, then let's use a forceful method. Qin Feiyang's eyes immediately flashed with a cold light. You don't need to come out, we will. Xiao Shui stopped Qin Feiyang, her body full of killing intent, and the power of destruction in her body surged out like a tide. Yes. Why do you need to personally do such a small thing? Li Zhongsheng took a step forward and landed beside Xiao Shui, the law of time surging. The Nine Flames Divine Staff and the Ice Snow Divine Sword were also awakened. Then I will have to trouble you. Qin Feiyang smiled, and then they all took a few steps back. The old poison roared, Xiao Shui, don't be stubborn. Following them won't end well. You don't need to worry about this. Immediately hand over the extreme young lightning fire and all the law miniatures on you. Otherwise, don't blame us for being merciless. Xiao Shui's body was filled with a bone-chilling cold, like an ice goddess descending. What? You want my law miniatures? The old poison was enraged, and the cane in his hand suddenly released a terrifying sovereign divine might that roared at Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng. Damn! That cane is a sovereign divine weapon? The madman was stunned. He didn't see it before. It's just a sovereign divine weapon. It can't do anything. Xiao Shui smiled coldly. She grabbed the Ice Snow Divine Sword and slashed it through the air. A destructive light slammed into the sovereign's aura. Heaven and earth buzzed, and the ground below shattered. The lake water roared and covered the sky. Be careful, don't touch the lake water. Xiao Shui warned Qin Feiyang and the others before charging at the old poison. Sister Shui, don't charge ahead. Just assist me. Li Zhongsheng naturally wouldn't let go of this good opportunity to show off. He held the Nine Flames Divine Staff and charged in front of Xiao Shui. The power of the law of time roared in all directions. The lake water that was laced with poison was evaporating. The old poison looked at the two of them, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. With a wave of his hand, the lake water turned into a green python that bypassed Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng and rushed toward Qin Feiyang and the others. Immediately after, he turned around and flew away without looking back. You want us to save Qin Feiyang and the others to give you a chance to escape? Not only have you underestimated us, you've also underestimated the strength of Qin Feiyang and the others. Li Zhongsheng sneered, completely ignoring Qin Feiyang and the others. The Nine Flames Divine Staff was overflowing with divine might as it slashed toward the old poison. At the same time, Xiao Shui also waved the Ice Snow Divine Sword and slashed at the old poison with a sharp edge that could tear the sky and earth apart. The old poison was startled and quickly turned around, raising the staff in his hand and blocking it in front of him. The Nine Flames Divine Staff and the Ice Snow Divine Sword immediately slammed into the staff. With a loud bang, the old poison's arm went numb and the staff flew out of his hand. Then, his entire body smashed into the shattered ground below like a meteor. Dust billowed. The old poison got up and was about to escape. However, Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng arrived like lightning and surrounded the old poison one after another. At the same time, in the sky, the water that had turned into a python was about to drown Qin Feiyang and the others. At this moment, the Horsetail Whisk, the sword of the Grim Reaper, the red longsword, and the illusory demon orb appeared. The divine might of the sovereign divine weapons was earth-shattering, and the lake water instantly disappeared. What? So many sovereign divine weapons? The old poison and the staff were shocked and they saw this. As for the walking stick, it didn't say a single word as it abandoned the old poison and fled on its own. However, the whisk and the other four sovereign divine weapons seemed to have expected this. They quickly rushed forward and surrounded the staff. Qin Feiyang glanced at the staff and landed next to Li Zhongsheng. He looked at the bloodied old poison and smiled. Is this all you've got? How dare you talk to me like this? Frenzy and the others also landed next to Xiao Shui, their faces full of mockery. The old poison changed his arrogant attitude and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. He smiled and said, "Let's talk about it. Isn't it just the extreme Yang Thunder Fire? Isn't it just the epitome of laws? I'll give it all to you." Then, he took off the interspatial ring and threw it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang reached out to grab it. Xiao Shui hurriedly warned, "Be careful. The interspatial ring has been with him for a long time and it also contains poison. Bastard, you still dare to plot against Qin Feiyang. You deserve death." Li Zhongsheng struck with his staff. With a scream, the old poison's body was torn apart and blood splashed in the sky. This flesh and blood also contained a deadly poison. Xiao Shui hurriedly waved her hand and the law of destruction surged out, destroying all the flesh and blood. The interspatial ring also contains poison? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and said with a smile, "Then I really want to try it. How terrifying is this poison?" Then, he directly grabbed the interspatial ring. Immediately, he felt a terrifying poison surging into his body like a tide. This was countless times more terrifying than the miasma. Chapter 3789. When the poison entered his body, his flesh, blood, bones, and internal organs began to rot at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just an instant, Qin Feiyang felt a fatal danger. This is too terrifying. Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly let go of the interspatial ring. At the same time, he activated the power of karma and the power of destruction to expel the poison in his body. At the same time, Azure Dragon saw that the situation was bad and activated the law of life. A majestic life energy poured into Qin Feiyang's body. A few seconds later, when all the poison was expelled and the wounds in his body were healed with the help of the law of life, Qin Feiyang was relieved. How was it? The madman looked at him gloatingly. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. As he looked at the old poison's battered body, a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. This was the first time he had seen such a terrifying poison. It was no exaggeration to say that anyone who had not reached the ultimate level of the law of life would die upon touching it. If even the old poison was so terrifying, then how terrifying was the myriad poison demon king, one of the 10 great demon kings? The myriad poison demon king probably did not even need to do anything. Just the poisonous gas around him could take their lives in a matter of minutes. The madman looked at Yun Xiang and the other two and chuckled. This lesson taught us not to touch anything in the future. Yun Xiang and the other two also rolled their eyes. If someone who did not know the situation saw the madman's attitude, they would think that he had some deep hatred for Qin Feiyang and wanted Qin Feiyang to die. "Brother Qin, this person cannot be left alive." Yun Xiang walked in front of Qin Feiyang and stared at the old poison with murderous intent in his eyes. "Don't." The old poison hurriedly waved his hand and looked at Qin Feiyang. "I can also work for you like Xiao Shui. Moreover, my personal strength is not weaker than Xiao Shui's. Just based on the fact that you used the universe ring to scheme against Qin Feiyang, this is unforgivable." Yun Xiang sneered. "I didn't. I just didn't have time to say it. Believe me, I really didn't do it on purpose. I was scared and didn't think about it." The old poison hurriedly defended himself. "Feiyang, this old man feels that we can keep him," Azure Dragon said to Qin Feiyang after a moment of silence. Right. I'm very valuable." Old poison nodded repeatedly. "Elder Qin, keeping such a person by your side, isn't that just asking for trouble? What if he has evil intentions and suddenly releases the poisonous gas? It's still fine now. After all, there's no one else around. We can all refine it in time. But if we leave the Heaven Bell divine treasure and gather our friends and family, wouldn't we be able to instantly defeat a large group of people? It will be too late for regrets. Yun Xiang's face was filled with worry. We can make him swear a blood oath. Of course, it's best to use the slave seal to control it. Azure Dragon said. But what if he really doesn't want to live? If he doesn't want to live, the consequences will be unimaginable. This old poison was too terrifying. No matter what, Yun Xiang didn't want to keep him by his side. I won't. If I really wasn't afraid of death, I wouldn't be begging you to let me go now. The old poison hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. The old poison looked at Qin Feiyang and begged, please, give me a chance. I'll do anything for you. Even if I encounter the Divine King of Chaos and the 10 Demon Kings, I won't retreat half a step. Azure Dragon glanced at the old poison, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, keep him. Not to mention the ultimate mysteries he has mastered, his poisonous gas alone can pose a great threat to the 3 major races and the people of the Divine Kingdom. Qin Feiyang glanced at Elder Qin, then at the old poison and said, can you restrain your poisonous gas? Yes. As long as I don't want to, it won't hurt anyone. The old poison hurriedly nodded. Then show me what you're doing now. Qin Feiyang said. The old poison saw hope and immediately restrained his poisonous gas. Soon, all the poisonous gas on his body disappeared. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and touched the old poison's arm. Sure enough, there was no poisonous gas. This is the same as the viper. Qin Feiyang murmured. The viper could also restrain its poisonous gas. However, the poison in the viper's body was worlds apart from the old poison's. After a moment of silence, Qin Feiyang exhaled, looked at the old poison and said, okay, I'll spare your life for the time being, but you can't escape punishment. Old Li, beat him up. He had to let the old poison experience the price of arrogance, so that he would truly be honest in the future. He. Li Zhongsheng laughed, looked at the old poison, and said, old man, bear with it. You should be gentle. The old poison had a long face. If he had known earlier, he would have directly given them the Supreme Yang Thunder Fire and the Law Miniature. Why did he have to suffer this? Don't worry, we are all the same. I will show mercy. Li Zhongsheng laughed. The same? The old poison was taken aback. But before he could react, Li Zhongsheng raised the 9 flames divine rod and gave the old poison a good beating. His wails resounded through the sky. Qin Feiyang and the others stood silently by the side. Why bother? Xiao Shui shook her head and sighed. With Qin Feiyang's initial attitude, as long as the old poison took out the Supreme Yang Thunder Fire, not only would he not suffer, but he would also be able to form a good karma. What a good thing, but it ended up like this. No, don't beat me anymore, I beg you. 100 breaths passed. The old poison couldn't take it anymore and wailed. But Qin Feiyang did not let Li Zhongsheng stop. About a few dozen breaths passed. Qin Feiyang stretched out his hand and said with a smile, old Li, it's about time. If you continue to beat him up, you will have to collect his corpse. Li Zhongsheng grinned, put away the 9 flames divine rod, and retreated to Xiao Shui's side. Even if the old poison was given a chance, he wouldn't have the strength to escape. Do you feel better? Qin Feiyang stepped forward and asked. Not good. The old poison shook his head repeatedly. Then remember this lesson well. Although I am a very easy person to talk to, I have never shown mercy to people with evil intentions. Qin Feiyang said. Yes, I will remember. I won't dare to do it again. The old poison nodded his head like he was pounding garlic. It would be better to kill him directly. Then don't resist. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and an enslavement seal entered the old poison's broken head like lightning. The control was completed smoothly. The old poison immediately felt that the undead soul had been controlled by Qin Feiyang. Damn! This enslavement seal can control the undead soul? The madman was stunned. I am also a little surprised. Qin Feiyang chuckled. He was also testing the waters, but he didn't expect it to really work. It seemed that the divine soul and the undead soul were no different from the enslavement seal. Take out the extreme yang lightning fire and the law miniature. Qin Feiyang really didn't want to touch the interspatial ring again. Okay. The old poison nodded and hurriedly ran over, grabbing the interspatial ring. With a thought, 6 iron boxes appeared, all of which had the aura of seals. After unlocking the seals, he respectfully handed the 6 iron boxes to Qin Feiyang and said with a flattering smile, "Don't worry, there is no poison on these boxes." Qin Feiyang glanced at him and took the iron boxes, opening them one by one. One extreme yang lightning fire. It was a miniature version of the 2 sword laws. 2 miniature versions of the law of fire. There was also a miniature of the law of nothingness. What? Void law. This made the madman very surprised. Because the void law was really rare. The void law was also one of the strongest laws. In his memory, other than Lu Zhengyang, he had never seen anyone activate the law of nothingness. Of course. The dragons, Feng people, Kirin clan, there might be people who had activated the void law, but they had never shown it in front of them. An unexpected gain. I can keep it for my ancestors. Qin Feiyang smiled. Not only Qin Batian, but Lu Zhengyang was also one of his ancestors. Then next, the madman looked up at the walking stick. Seeing this. The old poison hurriedly looked at the madman and shouted, "Brother, have mercy, I only have this one sovereign divine weapon." "Who is your brother? Don't try to make connections. Now your little life is ours, not to mention the sovereign divine weapon." The madman sneered. The old poison lowered his head in despair. Why bother? Not only did he lose the law miniature, even his little life was controlled by the other party, and now he had to lose the sovereign divine weapon. This loss was too great, wasn't it? Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret. Qin Feiyang looked at the old poison, then looked at the azure dragon. He took a step forward and landed beside the horsetail whisk. Looking at the walking stick, he said, "If you want to live, then make a blood oath, or I will send you to hell. Think about it." A hoarse voice came from the walking stick. "All right. Then do as I say." Under Qin Feiyang's guidance, the walking stick quickly made a blood oath. The moment the oath seal descended, it immediately realized that this oath wasn't that simple. And when it learned that this oath would come true, and that it could even destroy its soul, its entire heart was filled with despair. "Elder Qin, take this sovereign weapon," said Qin Wentian. Qin Feiyang grabbed the sovereign divine weapon and walked in front of the azure dragon with a smile. Naturally, the sovereign divine weapon could easily refine the poison, so there was no poison on the walking stick. The azure dragon god was stunned. He actually wanted to give it to him? How could he accept this? Back then, when Qin Feiyang gave him the miniature version of the law of life and the law of devour, he already felt very apologetic, let alone the sovereign divine weapon, so he quickly waved his hand and refused. "Just take it. Besides, look at us, all of us are young and strong. It's not suitable for us to hold a walking stick." The madman chuckled. "Are you looking down on me for being old?" The corner of the azure dragon's mouth twitched. "Otherwise?" The madman bared his teeth. The azure dragon smiled helplessly. Looking at Qin Feiyang, he said gratefully, "Thank you, but this old man really can't accept this sovereign divine weapon. You should keep it for yourself, or give it to someone who needs it more." His attitude was very firm. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. To be honest, this was the first time he saw someone refuse a sovereign divine weapon. If it was someone else, they would be eager to have a few more. However, this also showed that the Azure Dragon was indeed a highly respected old man worthy of the future generation's respect. Since Old Green doesn't want it, then I'll give it to you. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the old poison and directly threw the walking stick over. The old poison quickly grabbed the walking stick. His heart was filled with panic. This was his sovereign divine weapon, so how could he give it to him? Chapter 3790. Li Zhongsheng glanced at Qin Feiyang, then looked at Old Poison and said, "Brother, don't blame me. I'm just following orders. In fact, I don't want to beat you at all." Old Poison looked at Li Zhongsheng in astonishment. Since he didn't want to beat him, why did he still beat him up so vigorously? He couldn't be so shameless. Xiao Shui pointed at Li Zhongsheng and asked Old Poison, "You really don't know him?" Old Poison looked at Li Zhongsheng suspiciously and frowned. "I seem to have some impression of him, but I can't remember where I've seen him." Li Zhongsheng said, "We haven't met before, but I've heard of your great name." "What do you mean?" Old Poison was stunned. Listening to this, why did this person seem to be an undead of the Sky Bell Divine Treasure? But why couldn't he feel any undead aura from him? Xiao Shui shook her head helplessly and said, "He's the man I talked to you about last time." "What?" Old Poison looked at Li Zhongsheng in astonishment. "What did you talk about?" Li Zhongsheng was curious. Was Sister Shui praising him in front of outsiders? He thought with his conscience. Old Poison looked at Li Zhongsheng for a long time, then turned to look at Xiao Shui and asked, "Are you sure he's the man who looks like a kid?" When Li Zhongsheng heard this, he immediately looked at Xiao Shui with dissatisfaction. He thought she was praising him outside, but it turned out that she was insulting him outside. He was puzzled. How could a mature and charming man like him look like a little kid? Xiao Shui nodded. "You're really an undead." Old Poison's face was full of disbelief. He immediately released his divine sense and shrouded Li Zhongsheng. He found that there was really no undead aura in Li Zhongsheng's body. How was this possible? As an undead, he didn't have an undead body. Wait a minute. Suddenly, he thought of the conversation between Xiao Shui and Qin Feiyang. As long as he got rid of his undead body, he might be able to leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. Could it be, did Qin Feiyang really have a way to help them get rid of their undead bodies? Thinking of this, Old Poison became excited. If it was really possible, then following this person would be a huge bargain. Li Zhongsheng looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a flattering smile, "Since you found the extreme yang lightning fire, can you help Sister Shui?" The meaning behind his words was self-evident. When Xiao Shui heard this, she looked at Qin Feiyang with anticipation. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and pretended to ponder. Seeing that the two of them were starting to get nervous, he nodded and smiled, "Of course. Sister Shui, you'll be able to be reborn like me soon." Li Zhongsheng looked at Xiao Shui excitedly. "Yes." Xiao Shui nodded repeatedly in delight. "What's the situation? Is it really possible? And it's related to the extreme yang thunder fire?" Old Poison's face was full of bewilderment when he heard the three of them talking. Qin Feiyang glanced at the Old Poison and said lightly, "Don't let your imagination run wild. You don't have a share now." Old Poison looked at Qin Feiyang. How could he know what he was thinking? Qin Feiyang said, "One of the abilities of the enslavement seal is that it can peek into your inner thoughts without you noticing it." "What?" Old Poison's expression froze. In this way, if he had any complaints in his heart in the future, wouldn't he not even dare to think about it? Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng were also shocked and they heard that the slave seal had such an ability. At the same time, they rejoiced. Fortunately, they weren't controlled by the slave seal. Otherwise, it would be equivalent to standing naked in front of Qin Feiyang without any secrets to speak of. Qin Feiyang took out the jade box containing the undead barrier-breaking pill. Upon seeing the jade box, Xiao Shue's breathing became hurried, and her heartbeat also accelerated. Is this the thing that can help Xiao Shui get rid of her undead body? Old Poison stared at the jade box and suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Why don't I have a share? You can't favor one and discriminate against the other. You have a big opinion?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "I wouldn't dare." Old Poison quickly lowered his head. "Perform well. When your performance satisfies me, I'll give you the undead barrier-breaking pill." Qin Feiyang said lightly and handed the jade box to Xiao Shui. "Thank you." Xiao Shui thanked him and quickly hugged the jade box with both hands, afraid that Old Poison would snatch it from her. "Sister Shui, don't worry. I won't let anyone who dares to snatch it from you." Li Zhongsheng snorted and glanced at Old Poison with a threatening gaze. "My life is in the other party's hands. How would I dare to snatch it?" Old Poison felt bitter in his heart. Xiao Shui looked at Li Zhongsheng and suddenly felt a sense of security that she didn't have before. Whoosh! She took a deep breath and slowly opened the jade box. A pill immediately entered her sight. Was this the undead barrier-breaking pill that Li Zhongsheng mentioned? It could help her purify her undead body and get rid of it? Wait! However, just as Xiao Shui was about to swallow the pill, the whisk's voice suddenly sounded. Everyone looked at the whisk. "The illusory demon orb contacted me and said that they encountered a demon king," the whisk said in a deep voice. "Demon king?" Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. Xiao Shui, Li Zhongsheng, Old Poison, and the Ice Snow Divine Sword instantly felt fear in their hearts. "Which demon king?" the crazy guy asked. "According to the illusory demon orb, it seems to be the bloodthirsty demon king," the whisk said. "The bloodthirsty demon king." Xiao Shui and the others instantly turned pale. "You've seen him before?" Qin Feiyang looked at the three of them. "I've seen him once." Nodding his head, Li Zhongsheng glanced at Xiao Shui and said in a deep voice, "That's the real brat. He looks to be around 7 or 8 years old, but his methods are extremely cruel. Any prey that he sets his eyes on will have a miserable ending." "Can he compare to the Blood Ancestor?" Qin Feiyang asked. "I don't know what the Blood Ancestor is capable of, but the bloodthirsty Demon King's name alone is enough to intimidate all the undead and sovereign divine weapons in the Tianzhong Divine Treasure. Because every time he kills someone, he will drink their blood. Even the wine he usually drinks is made with blood," Li Zhongsheng said. "That's right." Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and their gazes sank. If that was the case, the Blood Ancestor, the illusory demon orb, and the demon-vanquishing staff would be in danger. Qin Feiyang looked at Xiao Shui and said, "Let's meet up with the Blood Ancestor first." "Understood." Xiao Shui nodded, closed the lid, and returned the jade box to Qin Feiyang. "You can keep it. It's yours anyway." Qin Feiyang then looked at the whisk and asked, "Do you know where they are now?" "The illusory demon orb already told me." The whisk replied. "Take us there immediately." Qin Feiyang said. Boom! A divine aura appeared, and the whisk immediately picked up Qin Feiyang and the others and flew away. "Are we really going to face the bloodthirsty Demon King?" Old Poison looked at Qin Feiyang in panic and asked. "I've been waiting for them." Qin Feiyang sneered. This, Old Poison looked at Xiao Shui and Li Zhongsheng. "Trust him. Besides, we don't have a choice now. We can only go with him." Li Zhongsheng sighed. Sigh. Old Poison also sighed helplessly. First, they encountered this group of monsters and barely managed to survive. Now, they encountered the bloodthirsty Demon King. What kind of day was this? Why were they so unlucky? At the same time, in the sky above a ruined land, the blood ancestor stood in the sky in a sorry state. His body was covered in blood, and his bones could be seen in some places. He was a bloody man. The illusory demon orb and the demon vanquishing staff, the two sovereign divine weapons, were also shattered. The air was filled with a tragic aura and the pungent smell of blood. At the same time, a 7- or 8-year-old child in blood-red clothes stood in the sky opposite the blood ancestor. He had his hands behind his back and his gaze was dignified. Although he looked like a child, he had an extremely calm personality. Above the child in blood-red clothes, a blood-colored ancient palace floated. It was more than 1,000 feet tall and was dyed in blood, emitting a torrential murderous aura. In the distance, a large number of skeletons were gathered. Among them, there were even undead spirits that had condensed physical bodies. At this moment, they were looking at the battlefield and the blood-red palace in the sky with reverence and fear in their eyes. Because, this blood-red clothes child was one of the 10 great demon kings, the bloodthirsty demon king. The blood-red clothes child looked at the blood ancestor with contempt in his eyes and said indifferently, "Back then, when you and the Feather Emperor came to steal the secret technique, did you think that such a day would come? It's because we're capable that we can snatch it from you." The blood ancestor snorted coldly. Capable? The blood-red clothes child was stunned. His eyes were filled with a torrential blood-red light as he mocked, "Since you're so capable, why don't you try to escape from under my nose now?" Escape? There's no need. The blood ancestor shook his head. What's going on? Why did he suddenly become so confident? That's not what the Black Flame Demon King said back then. The blood-red clothes child was surprised. That was back then, and this is now. Let me tell you, if you kill me here, not only will you regret it for the rest of your life, but even the Divine King of Chaos and the other great demon kings won't let you go. The blood ancestor sneered. The blood-red clothes child was stunned when he heard this. Why was he talking in his sleep? Trust me. When Qin Feiyang arrives, he'll give you an unexpected surprise. The blood ancestor swallowed a divine life pill and said slowly. You've already notified Qin Feiyang? The blood-red clothes child was stunned. That's right. He's probably on his way here now. The blood ancestor nodded. I was about to ask you to notify him, but I didn't expect you to have already done so. If that's the case, then you're already worthless. If you're worthless, of course I won't let you live. The blood-red clothes child chuckled, looked up at the blood-red ancient palace, and said casually, "Kill him and send those 2 ruler divine weapons to hell." Clang! The blood-red ancient palace immediately unleashed a monstrous aura toward the blood ancestor and the 2 sovereigns. Damn old man, why did you provoke him for no reason? Hurry up and think of something. The demon-vanquishing wand roared. The illusory demon orb was also extremely frightened. The blood-red palace was a mid-level ruler divine weapon, and it was on a completely different level from them. Chapter 3791. Why are you panicking? The blood ancestor glared at them and looked up at the blood-red palace. His blood-red eyes were filled with madness as he stared at the child and laughed. Purify the undead energy and get rid of your undead body. Do you really not care? As soon as he said that, the blood-red clothed child felt as if he had been struck by lightning. What did he say? Purify the undead energy? Get rid of his undead body? Did he hear that right? Was he crazy? How dare he say that? If you really don't care, then kill me. But as long as I die, you will lose the chance to be reborn. The blood ancestor laughed wildly. That's right. That's what he said. How is that possible? The child in blood-red clothes, who had been calm all this time, was suddenly in a mess. Seeing that the blood-red palace was about to attack, the illusory demon orb and demon vanquishing staff were ready to die. But at that moment, the child roared, "Stop!" With a loud clang, the blood-red palace stopped above the blood ancestor and the two sovereign divine weapons. Its terrifying power sent them flying. Poof! The blood ancestor spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. The shattered pieces of the two sovereigns' divine weapons also fell into the ground. Whoosh! The child took a step forward and rushed in front of the blood ancestor. He grabbed the blood ancestor's clothes and roared, "What did you just say?" He looked very nervous. The blood ancestor stared at the child and laughed. "Didn't you hear me clearly? Well, I'll say it again. Do you want to purify the undead energy? Do you want to get rid of your undead body?" The child's eyes trembled. "You have a way?" "Of course. But didn't you want to kill me? Come on." The blood ancestor roared. The child's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he grabbed the blood ancestor's clothes tightly. How dare he yell at him like that? Did he know his place? If it were any other time, he would have killed him immediately. No. Before killing him, he had to torture him. But now. The child was a little hesitant. "Do you think I'm lying to you?" "Huh, what a joke. Why don't you think about it? This ancestor clearly knows that you have issued a kill order, yet this ancestor still came out alone to wantonly hunt the skeletons and devour the souls of the dead? Am I that stupid?" The blood ancestor sneered. "You deliberately led us to you?" The child in blood-red clothes raised his eyebrows. "Not bad. We have a way to get rid of your undead bodies. Now, it's not us begging you, it's you begging us. Why don't you try and kill me? Let's see if the Divine King of Chaos will let you go once he learns about this." The blood ancestor sneered. The look in the child's eyes became even more terrifying. "Look around. How many pairs of eyes are watching? Can you kill them all? As long as one of you escapes, this matter will reach the ears of the Divine King of Chaos. With the means of the Divine King of Chaos, I believe that you will soon come to hell to accompany me. Don't make this ancestor look down on you. Hurry up and kill." The blood ancestor laughed crazily, completely fearless. The blood-red clothed child looked up at the skeletons and ghosts around him. At this moment, the hearts of the skeletons and undead were also filled with shock. What did this old man say? He actually had a way to purify the undead chi and get rid of the undead body? What was more tempting to them than this? However, when they felt the terrifying gaze of the child in blood-red clothes, they immediately turned around and fled frantically. If the child in blood-red clothes really wanted to kill the blood ancestor, he would definitely kill them to silence them. Who wanted to die? No one wanted to die. Moreover, now that they knew that there was a way to get rid of the undead body in this world, they naturally didn't want to die. Because as long as they were alive, there was hope to get rid of the undead body and be reborn as a human. The child in blood-red clothes watched this scene silently. He didn't let the blood-red palace chase after them because there were too many of them. Moreover, there were some undead who had mastered the ultimate profound of the strongest law. Although they were not as strong as him and the blood-red palace, if the other party wanted to escape, it would be difficult to kill so many undead. Phew. After a long time, the child in blood-red clothes took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and let go of the blood ancestor's clothes. The blood ancestor immediately collapsed on the ground. The child in blood-red clothes looked down at the blood ancestor condescendingly and said coldly, "You better be telling the truth. Otherwise, even if you want to die, I won't allow it." "Then let's wait and see." The blood ancestor sneered and swallowed another divine life pill. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was actually panicking and cold sweat was dripping down his back. Because before, he was purely gambling. Fortunately, the goddess of luck still cared about him. Fortunately, the undead and skeletons were relatively smart. They knew that the child in blood-red clothes might kill them to silence them, so they immediately scattered. Otherwise, they would really be dead. At the same time, the illusory demon orb and the demon subduing wand's artifact spirits heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the child in blood-red clothes stop. Because if the child in blood-red clothes really killed the blood ancestor, he definitely wouldn't let them go. They had escaped death. They really didn't have a day of peace with these people. They had to be on tenterhooks all day long. It was tiring. They looked at the child in blood-red clothes again. He took out a blood-red chair and half reclined on it. Then, he took out a blood-red gourd that looked like a wine flask. Do you know what's inside? The child in blood-red clothes looked at the blood ancestor. I don't know, and I'm not interested. The blood ancestor also took out a chair and sat on it calmly. Although he looked very wretched, his aura didn't lose out to the bloodthirsty demon king. This is a divine brew brewed with fresh blood. It's delicious. The child in blood-red clothes smiled sinisterly and took a big gulp. A few drops of blood-red wine dripped from the corner of his mouth. His small face was full of intoxication. The blood ancestor was shocked when he saw this scene. Divine brew brewed with fresh blood, was this telling him that if he dared to deceive him, he would be brewed into a divine brew while he was still alive? Just thinking about this scene made his scalp tingle. What a terrifying demon king. The blood ancestor was safe, but the heavenly bell divine treasury was in an uproar. No way. Get rid of his undead body? How is that possible? Why not? I heard the blood ancestor say that to the bloodthirsty demon king with my own ears. What kind of existence is the bloodthirsty demon king? How dare the blood ancestor lie to him? I think there's a 99% chance that it's true. Then did he say how to get rid of his undead body? No. It seems like he's waiting for that human Qin Feiyang. If this is true, then we have hope. Quick, find a way to inform the divine king of primal chaos and the other demon kings. We must not let the bloodthirsty demon king kill the blood ancestor. And that Qin Feiyang, this person is too important. Quickly spread this news and tell the undead along the way not to hurt him. For a time, Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor became delicious cakes in the eyes of the undead. About half a day later. Inside a huge ancient city. A slender figure was sitting on a throne in a large hall. This should be a woman. Her figure was petite and exquisite, and her skin was like ice crystals, suffused with a hazy crystal light. However, she wore a black mask on her face, and only a pair of black and white pupils could be seen. That's right. Her two pupils were white on one side and black on the other, exuding a strange aura. Lord Divine King. Suddenly, a 2-meter-tall man in black hurriedly ran into the hall. This person was the Black Flame Demon King. And to be called Lord Divine King by him, it was naturally the Divine King of Primal Chaos. In other words, the masked woman sitting in the high position was the ruler of the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, the Divine King of Primal Chaos. The Divine King of Primal Chaos was actually a woman. This was probably something that no one had expected. Why are you in such a panic? The Divine King of Primal Chaos raised her eyebrows, seemingly very displeased. And the voice was like an oriole leaving the valley, crisp and pleasant. Judging from the voice, it seemed to be an 18 or 19-year-old girl. My lord, you can't blame me for losing my composure. Because this news is too shocking. The Black Flame Demon King roared. Because of his huge size, his voice was also very loud. Coupled with his somewhat excited mood at this moment, his voice was like thunder, causing the Divine King of Primal Chaos eardrums to vibrate. The Divine King of Primal Chaos rubbed her ears and looked at the Black Flame Demon King suspiciously. This was the first time she had seen this big guy so excited, so she asked suspiciously, "What news?" Previously, a sovereign divine weapon contacted the demon castle through the contract bridge, saying that Bloodthirsty has found the blood ancestor. The Black Flame Demon King said. "So fast?" The Divine King of Primal Chaos was taken aback and nodded. "It is indeed good news." "No, no, no. That's not what I want to say." The Black Flame Demon King waved his hand. "Then what other news can there be?" The Divine King of Primal Chaos was puzzled. The Black Flame Demon King breathed heavily and said, "I heard, this blood ancestor has a way to get rid of our undead bodies." "What?" The Divine King of Primal Chaos suddenly stood up. Although her expression couldn't be seen, it wasn't difficult to see from her black and white eyes that she was quite shocked at this moment. Divine King of Primal Chaos, at this moment. Another thin and frail old woman in a green robe hurriedly ran into the hall. The Divine King of Primal Chaos looked at the old woman and frowned. "You also came for the news of the blood ancestor? You already know?" The old woman was stunned. "Black Flame already told me." The Divine King of Primal Chaos slowly returned to his seat with a thoughtful look. The old woman looked at the Black Flame Demon King and coldly snorted. "You're really fast. Old woman, you're not slow either." The Black Flame Demon King sneered. "Humph." The old woman snorted through her nose, looked up at the Divine King of Primal Chaos, and asked, "My lord, what do you think of this matter?" "No hurry. Let's wait for the others to arrive first." The Divine King of Primal Chaos shook his head. The so-called others were naturally referring to the other demon kings. Since the Black Flame Demon King and the old woman had received the news, the other demon kings must have been no exception. Perhaps, they were already on their way here. Chapter 3792. As expected. In less than half an hour, the other 6 demon kings arrived, their faces full of excitement and disbelief. "Why don't I see Queen of Flames?" Black Flame Demon King was suspicious. "I don't know. I heard that she's in seclusion somewhere, integrating the inheritance of the law of lightning." The old woman shook her head. "Then let's leave her alone." Black Flame Demon King looked up at the Divine King of Primal Chaos. The old woman and the others also looked up, waiting for the Divine King of Primal Chaos' decision. The Divine King of Primal Chaos pondered for a while, then looked at the 8 and said, "This is no small matter. After all, it has caused a sensation in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, and it's indeed very important to us." "Then what do you mean?" Black Flame Demon King asked. The Divine King of Primal Chaos said, "Inform Bloodthirsty Demon King to bring the blood ancestor and Qin Feiyang to the royal city of Primal Chaos. I want to verify the authenticity of this matter personally." "What if it's true?" the old woman asked tentatively. "Then we can't kill Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor. You can imagine that if this is true, then not only us, but all the undead in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure will go after them. These undead may even become enemies with us for Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor. So we have to deal with it properly. But it's too early to say this. Let's discuss it after the verification." The Divine King of Primal Chaos said. "Yes." The 8 responded respectfully and immediately let the Sovereign Divine Weapon beside them contact Bloodthirsty Demon King's Sovereign Divine Weapon, the Blood Ancient Palace. So fast? When the Blood Ancient Palace received the news and informed Bloodthirsty Demon King couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Fortunately, he didn't kill them. Otherwise, it would have been a big deal. He knew the Divine King of Primal Chaos temper better than anyone else. As long as they made a mistake, even the 10 demon kings wouldn't tolerate it. In the blink of an eye. Several days passed. In the sky above a mountain range. The horsetail whisk carried Qin Feiyang and the others as fast as lightning. Madman looked at the skeletons below and frowned. Old Qin, did you notice anything wrong? What's wrong? Qin Feiyang stared at the madman in a daze, unable to react. Madman said, look at the way those skeletons are looking at us. Why do they seem to be trying to curry favor with us? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Daifuku and the others were also stunned. They then lowered their heads to look at the skeletons below. Although these skeletons did not have flesh and blood, and their expressions could not be seen, from the emotions revealed by their souls, one could really feel a hint of flattery. What's going on? Everyone was a little confused. This doesn't make sense. Very soon, they encountered another undead that had condensed a physical body. Now, he could see more clearly. This was because the undead who had condensed a physical body could clearly see his expression and eyes. In the face and eyes of the undead, they did not see the slightest hostility. Instead, they were full of kindness. This time, the group of people was confused. How did it suddenly become like this? How much longer? Qin Feiyang looked at the horsetail whisk and asked. It seems to be in front. The horsetail whisk said. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the mountains and rivers in front of him. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he looked, he was shocked. The mountains and rivers in front of him, including the void, were actually filled with a large number of skeletons and undead. Just in one direction, there were probably no less than hundreds of thousands of them. There were huge skeletons of beasts, human-shaped skeletons emitting purple-gold divine light, and many undead that had condensed a physical body. It's Qin Feiyang. Hurry up and get out of the way. With a cry of alarm, the skeletons and undead in front turned to look at Qin Feiyang and the others. Then, they all retreated to the side and made a path. Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang and the others' eyes almost popped out. This was too strange. Why did it feel like they were honored guests now? Could it be related to the undead barrier-breaking pill? The madman was surprised. Maybe. Without confirmation, Qin Feiyang didn't dare to be sure. Wait. This can't be a trap, right? They want to trick us into their encirclement? Yun Xiang was surprised. Trap? Everyone looked at each other. Look, it's the blood ancestor. Daifuku pointed to the void in front of him and shouted. Madman looked up and cursed, damn, he's still sitting there so casually. He's quite relaxed. It's good that he's fine. Qin Feiyang smiled. Immediately after, the group of people looked at the void opposite the blood ancestor and their pupils immediately shrank. He's the bloodthirsty demon king. Li Zhongsheng stared at the blood-red child and said in a deep voice. He's really a brat? The madman frowned. Li Zhongsheng glanced at the madman and said, I'll say it again, don't be fooled by his appearance. Everyone nodded. At the same time, the blood ancestor, the blood-red child, and the three rulers' divine weapons also sensed the aura of Qin Feiyang and the others. The blood ancestor turned to look at Qin Feiyang and the others with a smile on his face. The demon vanquishing wand and the illusory demon orb could finally be relieved of their worries. Because once Qin Feiyang arrived, even the bloodthirsty demon king couldn't kill them because they already had enough rulers' divine weapons. As for the crimson-clothed child and the crimson hall, they were sizing up Qin Feiyang curiously. Swish! A group of people landed beside the blood ancestor. Looking at the unfamiliar face of the old poison, the blood ancestor looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, he is? An old poison. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the bloodstains on the blood ancestor's body. He asked with concern, "Are you okay?" After a few days, the blood ancestor's injuries had healed, but the bloodstains on his body were still there, so it wasn't hard for Qin Feiyang and the others to see that the bloodthirsty demon king had severely injured the blood ancestor. "I almost died." The blood ancestor shook his head. Qin Feiyang smiled comfortingly. "Good fortune awaits those who survive." "Of course." The blood ancestor laughed. "Don't waste time. Since you're all here, follow me to the primal chaos royal city." The blood-red child stood up and put away the chair he was sitting on. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. "What? To the primal chaos royal city?" Xiao Shui, the old poison, and Li Zhongsheng's expressions changed drastically. Qin Feiyang and the others narrowed their eyes. What was the meaning of taking them directly to the primal chaos royal city? "This is an order from the divine king. If you dare to say no, you know the consequences." The blood-red child smiled coldly. "Why should we say no?" Qin Feiyang asked. The blood-red child froze for a moment, then looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile and said, "You're quite bold, but you'd better pray that you can really help us get rid of our undead bodies. If I wasn't confident, I wouldn't have dared to let the ancestor lure you out here. Please lead the way." Qin Feiyang smiled. Seeing Qin Feiyang's confident expression, the blood-red child frowned. Could it really be possible? Then, he became inexplicably excited. Soon after, a divine might descended from the Golden Palace, sweeping up the blood-red child, Qin Feiyang, and the others before turning into a streak of light and shooting through the sky. The skeletons and undead in front of them quickly retreated to the side. "Ancestor, what's going on with these skeletons and undead?" Qin Feiyang asked secretly. "Speaking of which, it's because I'm smart. Otherwise, I might have been killed by this little bastard." The blood ancestor stared at the blood-red child's back and snorted coldly. Then, he secretly explained the whole matter in a simple and clear manner. "So that's how it is. It seems that these skeletons and undead came after hearing the news. They're indeed trying to curry favor with us." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. But it was indeed a little dangerous. The madman transmitted his voice. "Emichem," Qin Feiyang nodded. The blood ancestor glanced at the old poison and asked secretly, "What's the situation with this old man?" Qin Feiyang also secretly told the blood ancestor about the old poison situation. "Poison?" The blood ancestor's face was full of surprise. Seeing the blood ancestor looking at him, the old poison grinned at the blood ancestor. His smile was a little sinister, making the blood ancestor's hair stand on end. It was better not to get too close to such an old poison. About 3 days later, the blood-red palace led Qin Feiyang and the others across the mountains and finally saw a huge city. There were countless buildings in the city. Some of the buildings even towered into the clouds. The entire city was black, and the city walls were hundreds of feet tall. It was like a black python lying on the ground, emitting a cold and ancient aura. At the same time, although the ancient city didn't have a powerful ruler's aura, it gave people a sense of oppression and fear. "This is the Chaos Royal City." The blood-red child smiled sinisterly and said without turning his head, "It's too late for you to regret it now. We didn't deceive you. What's there to regret?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Whoosh! Before he finished speaking, several figures flew out of the city and landed on top of the city walls. Shocking demonic auras instantly surged over. When Xiao Shui, Li Zhongsheng, and the old poison saw these people, their faces turned pale. They couldn't suppress the fear in their hearts. This was because these people were the Black Flame Demon King and the others. The 8 Demon Kings. No. Including the blood-red child, there were 9 Demon Kings. Usually, just one Demon King was enough to make them tremble in fear, let alone 9 demon kings. Even Yun Xiang, the blood ancestor, Azure Dragon, the crazy one, and Daifuku couldn't help but feel nervous. Qin Feiyang, on the other hand, was relatively calm. Whoosh! The blood-red palace led a group of people above the city walls and disappeared into the blood-red child's body. The blood-red child also landed beside the black flame demon king and the others. Seeing that Qin Feiyang and the blood ancestor were fine, the black flame demon king and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that the blood-red child would act rashly and kill Qin Feiyang and the others. It's been a few years. How have you been, Lord Demon King? Qin Feiyang glanced at the demon kings. Each of them was unfathomable. Finally, he looked at the black flame demon king and cupped his hands with a smile. I thought that you would be in dire straits these years, but I didn't expect that you would be doing so well. You even attracted the attention of the divine king. A cold light flashed in the black flame demon king's eyes. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was chatting with the black flame demon king, Li Zhongsheng and the others admired him from the bottom of their hearts. Who could compare with such courage? Chapter 3793. It's indeed quite disappointing. The black flame demon king put on a fake smile. The 9 demon kings gathered together, emitting an invisible pressure that was enough to intimidate any living being. Li Zhongsheng and the other 2 could be considered powerful figures, but at this time, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They couldn't be blamed for being timid. It was because the fierce reputation of the 9 demon kings was too deeply rooted in people's hearts. If they were in the sky cloud realm, their fierce reputation would be enough to scare children to tears. Then I will work harder next time and not let you down, Lord Demon King. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Even if he lost, he couldn't lose. Even if the 9 demon kings were fierce, he couldn't appear too weak. Moreover, he had made his judgment based on his ability to do so. Just as the blood ancestor said, it wasn't them begging these people, but these people begging them. Whether or not to give them the undead barrier-breaking pill would depend on his mood. Then this king will wait. The black flame demon king said with a fake smile. He didn't invite Qin Feiyang and the others to enter the primal chaos royal city and said indifferently, hurry up and verify it. Only after verification will you be qualified to talk to us as equals. So anxious? It seems that all of you are eager to get rid of your undead body. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 9 demon kings and smiled slightly. Of the 9 demon kings, apart from the black flame demon king, the bloodthirsty demon king, and the green-robed old woman, the other 6 were 3 men and 3 women. One of them was a young man and a woman, about 25 or 26 years old. The man was dressed in white, with a dignified appearance and an extraordinary temperament. The woman was young and beautiful. Her snow-white hair fluttered in the wind, and her snow-white dress was spotless. She was like a fairy in a painting, stunning beyond compare. Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, the white-robed woman's delicate face bloomed with a bright smile. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, purifying the undead energy in getting rid of the undead body. I believe that none of the undead in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure doesn't desire it. She is Snow Queen, known as the #1 beauty of the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. Xiao Shui transmitted her voice. What is she? In my opinion, Sister Shui, you are the #1 beauty in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. Before Qin Feiyang and the others could speak, Li Zhongsheng spoke first. His words were full of flattery. Xiao Shui rolled her eyes. It wasn't easy for him to find a sense of security around this person, but he didn't expect him to return to his true nature. Sure enough, it was easy to change mountains and rivers, but hard to change one's nature. Qin Feiyang looked at Snow White Queen and said with a smile, Your Majesty Queen is very straightforward, not concealing her inner desires at all. "You're a smart person. No matter how I try to hide, I'm afraid I can't escape your eyes." The Snow-White woman smiled. "You flatter me, sir. Junior's vision isn't that ruthless." Qin Feiyang waved his hand in embarrassment. "Don't waste time, okay?" Seeing Qin Feiyang and Snow-White Queen chatting and laughing, the white-clothed youth at the side could not help but raise his eyebrows, a look of impatience on his face. "He is Demon King Feng Tian. I think his real name is Bai Feng Tian." Li Zhongsheng thought to himself. "Demon King Feng Tian," Qin Feiyang murmured, sized up Demon King Feng Tian, and said with a faint smile, "Since Lord Demon King is so impatient, at this point." Qin Feiyang turned his head to look at Xiao Shui and said with a smile, "Then let's begin." "All right." Xiao Shui nodded and took out the jade box. In an instant, the eyes of the 9 great demon kings all fell on the jade box. Could it be that the thing that could let them get rid of their undead bodies was in this jade box? As Xiao Shui opened the jade box, a wave of pure yang qi suddenly surged out like a tide. Elixir? Snow-White Queen was stunned. She never thought that it would actually be an elixir. "This is personally refined by me. In this world, there are only 2 people who know how to refine this elixir. One is me, and the other is my brother. However, he didn't come to the Sky Bell Divine Treasure." Qin Feiyang looked at the 9 great demon kings and smiled. The 9 great demon kings felt a chill in their hearts. These words were clearly hinting that they had better be polite to him. Qin Feiyang continued, "Before Xiao Shui takes this elixir, I hope that everyone can first confirm Xiao Shui's identity and see if she's really an undead. Otherwise, you might think that I'm using a living person to fool you." The 9 great demon kings sized up Xiao Shui. From Xiao Shui's body, they could indeed feel undead qi. Snow-White Queen's gaze turned to Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "No need to worry so much, let's begin." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to look at Xiao Shui. He reminded her, "Bear with it, the process will be very painful. As long as I can get rid of my undead body, any pain is worth it." Xiao Shui's gaze was extremely firm. Without hesitation, she grabbed the undead barrier-breaking elixir and put it into her mouth. "Prepare to help her transcend the tribulation." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and various sovereign divine weapons appeared. And it was a total of 10 sovereign divine weapons. This was because when Li Zhongsheng transcended the tribulation last time, the 6 sovereign divine weapons had almost failed to block it. Even if they managed to block it in the end, they were all heavily injured. In their current situation, the sovereign divine weapons absolutely could not be damaged. If these demon kings wanted to burn the bridge after crossing the river and harm them, having an additional sovereign divine weapon would be an additional source of strength. The moment she took the undead barrier-breaking elixir, the terrifying pure yang energy spread throughout Xiao Shui's body. She felt like she was in a sea of fire, and the pain was unbearable. She couldn't help but scream. "Little sister Shui, you must endure it. Don't worry about the tribulation. We will help you." Li Zhongsheng called out anxiously. Xiao Shui nodded and sat cross-legged in the air. Because of the pain, large beads of sweat had already appeared on her forehead. However, she gritted her teeth and endured. The old poison also looked at Xiao Shui with anticipation and nervousness. If she could really get rid of her undead body, then being controlled by Qin Feiyang would be a blessing in disguise. Rumble. Crack. Not long after, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Bolts of blood-red lightning crazily roared in the clouds, emitting terrifying heavenly might. Has it already begun? In the palace of the city, the divine king of primal chaos heard the commotion of the tribulation and walked out of the palace. He looked up at the tribulation clouds in the sky with a trace of anticipation in his eyes. Crack. Accompanied by a deafening sound, the first bolt of tribulation descended. It was like a giant blood-red python as it charged toward Xiao Shui. Fraud! Li Zhongsheng shouted. Although Xiao Shui could withstand the first few bolts of tribulation, he wouldn't allow Xiao Shui to be injured. You want me to help you pick up girls? You're really something. The Nine Flames Divine Staff looked at him with disdain and roared at the Ice Snow Divine Sword, "Little Sister Ice, you don't have to come. I'm enough." Boom! Divine might surged out as the Nine Flames Divine Soul rushed above Xiao Shui and easily blocked the first bolt of tribulation. Crack! The second bolt, the third bolt, the fourth bolt. When the 10th bolt of tribulation descended, the Nine Flames Divine Staff couldn't withstand it anymore. It roared at the other sovereign divine weapons, "Come and help. Don't just stand there and watch. Aren't you very capable?" The horsetail Whisk sneered. No. Compared to you guys, I'm nothing. Please, hurry up. Don't embarrass me in front of Little Sister Ice. The Nine Flames Divine Staff begged. You're just trying to save face. The horsetail Whisk and the other sovereign divine weapons looked at it with disdain. They didn't stand by and watch anymore. They all came to life and rushed to the Nine Flames Divine Staff's side. The 11 sovereign divine weapons began to work together to resist the tribulation. Seeing this scene, the 9 demon kings couldn't help but frown. It actually required so many sovereign divine weapons to work together. The power of this tribulation was too ridiculous. What's this little bit of power? I can easily deal with it with my own strength. The voice of the blood-red palace sounded. It was filled with disdain. Snow White smiled. It's not good to say that. After all, you're not on the same level as them. If they know that we're not on the same level, then they should know better. Don't be so arrogant in front of us. The blood-red clothed child harumphed. Snow White was slightly taken aback. She shook her head and smiled. It seems that the two of you are very dissatisfied with them. The blood-red clothed child didn't say anything, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. Sky Tribute Demon King frowned. Snow White, why does it seem like you have a good impression of them? Putting aside the grudge between us and the blood ancestor, Qin Feiyang gave me a good first impression. Although I don't know him well, it's not hard to tell from his actions that he's a young man who knows how to respect others. Snow White smiled. You have such a high opinion of him? Sky Tribute Demon King raised his eyebrows as jealousy rose in his heart. After being together for so many years, even he had never been given such a high opinion by Snow White. What did a puny Qin Feiyang have to do? No matter what you say, I've never seen him respect others. Black Flame Demon King interjected. That's because you're the one who entered first. You've had conflicts with him since a long time ago, so whether it's you or him, both of you have a big prejudice against each other. Snow White smiled faintly. Whatever. Anyway, he's an ant-like existence. When I get rid of my undead body, I'll kill him. Black Flame Demon King sneered. It's not good to burn the bridge after crossing it, right? Snow White frowned. What else? Do you really treat him like an ancestor? You may be happy, but I'm not. Black Flame Demon King sneered. Snow White shook her head. There was no other way. This was the personality and means of the Demon Kings. When you were valuable, they could let you go, but once you lost your value, they would definitely not show mercy. Boom! Thunder rumbled. The last tribulation descended. With 11 sovereign weapons working together, they were able to withstand the tribulation with ease. As the tribulation ended, auspicious clouds rolled over. Shwa! A golden ray of auspicious light descended from the sky and directly drowned Xiao Shui. At this moment, the 9 demon kings, Old Poison, and even the primal Chaos Divine King, who was standing in the sky above the city, looked at Xiao Shui with a nervous and expectant expression. Because success or failure was at this moment. The scene was dead silent. Xiao Shui became the center of attention. Because at this moment, many skeletons and undead had gathered in the sky above the mountains around the city. They were also nervously waiting. Chapter 3794. In the Void. At this moment, Xiao Shui's physical body was actually slowly dissipating, but her expression was exceptionally peaceful, as if the dissipation of her physical body did not bring her any pain. What's going on? The 9 demon kings were bewildered. Her physical body was actually dissipating. Could it be that she had failed the tribulation? Li Zhongsheng also had a look of anxiety. Don't worry. She's destroying her undead body and reconstructing a real physical body. Qin Feiyang comforted. I see. Li Zhongsheng heaved a sigh of relief. Recalling the scene of him transcending the tribulation, it seemed that because his undead body was shattered by the tribulation, he directly began to reconstruct his physical body after successfully transcending the tribulation. In other words, this process was skipped. As expected. After Xiao Shui's physical body completely dissipated, leaving only her clothes and interspatial ring, the soul of the undead was exposed under the golden auspicious light, and the undead aura contained within was quickly purified. Immediately after, her dissipated physical body began to reconstruct at a speed visible to the naked eye. Time passed quietly. A moment later, a living Xiao Shui appeared in front of everyone. Her skin was crystal clear like a newborn baby's. In addition to her good looks, standing in the golden auspicious light at this moment, she was like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Li Zhongsheng was dumbfounded. It was too beautiful. She was simply a goddess. Right at this moment, Xiao Shui opened her eyes and quickly put on the clothes that were floating at the side and put on the interspatial ring. The golden auspicious light also began to surge into her body. Very soon, her entire body appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The 9 demon kings released their divine senses one after another and enveloped Xiao Shui. With one look, they were all overjoyed. At this moment, they could not sense any undead aura in Xiao Shui's body at all. She was a living person. It really works. The old poison was stunned for a moment and was also overjoyed. Looking at the reactions of the demon kings, could it really work? The skeletons and undead outside the city looked at the group of people above the city wall in bewilderment. They were also extremely nervous. As they did not dare to get too close to the chaotic royal city, they could not hear the conversation between Qin Feiyang and the others. As the demon kings were present, they did not dare to release their divine senses, so they did not know what the situation was like. Sister Shui, how do you feel? Li Zhongsheng rushed to Xiao Shui and asked. Xiao Shui examined herself before closing her eyes to examine her body. After a long time, she finally opened her eyes and looked at Li Zhongsheng. She felt as if she was dreaming, and she couldn't speak for a long time. Don't get too excited. I was just like you in the beginning, Li Zhongsheng smiled. But before Li Zhongsheng could finish his words, Xiao Shui suddenly threw herself into Li Zhongsheng's embrace as tears flowed from her eyes. These were tears of joy. However, this sudden happiness caught Li Zhongsheng off guard. Sister Snow actually took the initiative to hug him. This must be a dream. If it was really a dream, then he would live in a dream for the rest of his life and never wake up. Who? The demon kings took a deep breath and raised their heads to look at Qin Feiyang. Their gazes instantly changed. Because Qin Feiyang had already shown his worth. Bring them into the city. The voice of the divine king of chaos rang out. What? The divine king of chaos actually allowed them to enter the chaos imperial city? This is something that has never happened before. It seems that this Qin Feiyang can really help us get rid of our undead bodies. This is really exciting news. The surrounding skeletons and undead were all extremely excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They couldn't wait to rush over and snatch Qin Feiyang away from the hands of the demon kings. This was a treasure. However, in the end, reason prevailed over impulse. With their strength, they didn't have the qualifications to challenge the demon kings. Sister Shui. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. After Li Zhongsheng came back to his senses, under the encouraging gazes of Qin Feiyang and the rest, he slowly raised his hands and gently hugged Xiao Shui, who was in his embrace. He muttered to himself in his heart with a satisfied smile on his face. He didn't ask for anything else. As long as he could hug her like this often, he would be satisfied. However, Xiao Shui quickly reacted. Her face immediately turned red as she pushed Li Zhongsheng away and said angrily, "What are you doing?" "Huh?" Li Zhongsheng looked at Xiao Shui. What kind of creature was this woman? She changed her face faster than flipping a book. "You were the one who took the initiative to hug me, and now you're reprimanding me. Isn't this unfair? Understand?" Qin Feiyang patted his shoulder and laughed. "I don't understand. Do men have to suffer such grievances?" Li Zhongsheng snorted coldly. After Xiao Shui calmed down, she remembered that she was the one who took the initiative to hug him. Her face was immediately filled with embarrassment. She then looked at the aggrieved Li Zhongsheng and coughed dryly, "I'm sorry. It's nothing. Anyway, in your eyes, I'm an unreliable man. I'm already used to it." Li Zhongsheng waved his hand, his face filled with sadness. "Are you done? I've already apologized to you. What else do you want?" Xiao Shui frowned. "Even if you want to apologize, you have to be sincere." Li Zhongsheng snorted coldly. His eyes turned as he pointed to the side of his face and chuckled, "For example, a kiss." Scram! Xiao Shui's face instantly darkened. Qin Feiyang was also speechless. He had said it so many times, but why couldn't he change his character? Originally, Xiao Shui felt a little apologetic in her heart. A slightly smarter man would seize this opportunity to further improve their relationship. But Li Zhongsheng, at this crucial moment, he actually revealed his wretched side, causing the little bit of apologetic feeling in Xiao Shui's heart to disappear. Wasn't he looking for trouble for himself? After all, he had lived 2 lives. Why was it so hard to teach him? It seemed that he was destined to be a bachelor for the rest of his life. "Thank you." Xiao Shui no longer paid attention to Li Zhongsheng. She looked at Qin Feiyang and bowed gratefully. "It's fine. This is my promise to you." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. Xiao Shui was stunned when she heard this. These words were too heartwarming. It was more than 5 to 6 times better than a certain wretched man. How could there be such a huge gap between people? "Are you done chatting?" Demon King Feng Tian looked at the few of them impatiently. He was already restraining himself. Because if it was any other time, once the Divine King of Primal Chaos gave an order, no matter who you were, you would immediately follow him. If you dared to delay, you would suffer his anger. Of course. This was also because of the undead barrier breaking pill. Without the undead barrier breaking pill, wanting him to accommodate you like this? Dream on. Qin Feiyang glanced at Demon King Feng Tian and the other demon kings. He smiled and said, "Sorry, I was too happy and chatted a little more. Please lead the way." The 9 demon kings turned and flew toward the center of the city. "Are we really going in? This is a dragon's pool and tiger's den. Once we enter, we will need the permission of the Divine King of Primal Chaos to come out." Old Poison hurriedly said. No matter what, he didn't want to enter this place. "Do we have a choice now?" Azure Dragon smiled bitterly. Since they had already come to this point, there was no way they could retreat. If they dared to say no now, the 9 demon kings would definitely make a move on them without hesitation. In short, the arrow on the bow had to be shot. Old Poison's expression froze. Suddenly, he thought of an idea and said with a flattering smile, "How about I wait for you outside? Not a single one of you can be missing. All of you follow us." But before he finished speaking, Demon King Fengtian's voice sounded again. Old Poison's face turned pale. He could only follow Qin Feiyang and the others and the 9 demon kings to the main hall in the center of the city. The entire Primal Chaos Royal City was divided into several districts. But such a big city, there wasn't a single living being in sight. It was dead silent. After a few breaths, they finally arrived in front of the main hall. The door was open and they could see the Divine King of Primal Chaos sitting on the throne. A woman? Frenzy was surprised. The ruler of the Heaven Bell Divine Treasure, the strongest expert, was actually a petite woman. It was truly surprising. "Come in." The Divine King of Primal Chaos spoke. His voice was as clear and pleasant as a young girl's. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and took a deep breath. They followed the 9 demon kings into the main hall. The layout of the main hall was very simple. The 10 black chairs were all made of stone. 4 stone pillars that were half a meter thick stood in the 4 corners of the room. Divine dragons were attached to them. After the 9 demon kings entered the main hall, they sat on the 10 stone chairs. But because Queen Flame was dead, there was only 1 empty stone chair left. "Is this how you treat your guests?" Frenzy raised his eyebrows. "It's already a great honor for you to be able to enter the Primal Chaos Royal City. You want to be on the same level as us? Do you have the right?" Demon King Black Flame sneered. "We don't even have the right to sit?" Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He looked at the high and mighty Demon King Black Flame and said with a faint smile, "Then why are we still here? Goodbye." With that, he led everyone away. Impudent. Demon King Feng Tian suddenly stood up and a terrifying demonic aura rolled toward Qin Feiyang and the others. Qin Feiyang stopped and slowly turned to look at Demon King Feng Tian with a smile. "Are you sure you want to attack? Do you know the price of doing so?" "What a joke. How dare you talk to me about the price? Do you think you can do whatever you want in front of us just because you have that pill?" Demon King Feng Tian walked toward Qin Feiyang and the others with an aggressive aura. "You're right. I have the undead barrier breaking pill, so I can do whatever I want. Why don't we go out and see if those undead and skeletons outside the city want this pill?" Qin Feiyang smiled indifferently. Since they were already here, what was the use of being afraid? It would only make the other party think that they were easy to bully. Therefore, they had to be strong. Only then could they make the other party bow down. "Indeed, we should think about it." Frenzy said lazily with a smile, "We don't have any ready-made undead barrier-breaking pill in our hands. The last one has already been given to Xiao Shui. If you kill us, I'm sorry, but you'll never get another undead barrier-breaking pill." "Are you threatening me?" Demon King Fengtian's eyes flashed with killing intent. "Yes, I'm threatening you." Frenzy bared his teeth. "I'm going to eat you, so what?" Chapter 3795. Qin Feiyang and Madman were openly provoking him. Not to mention the dignified Demon King Feng Tian, any other person would definitely be furious. Therefore, at this moment, Demon King Feng Tian stared at the two of them. His clenched fists made cracking sounds, and the killing intent in his eyes was undisguised. "Don't scare us like that. We are very fragile. If we are not careful, we will faint. At that time, we will have to trouble you to save us." That is not important. What is important is that it is a waste of time. Don't you want to get rid of your undead bodies as soon as possible? Madman patted his chest with a timid look, but his eyes were full of ridicule. Courting death. Demon King Feng Tian could no longer hold back the killing intent in his heart. He raised his hand and slapped towards Qin Feiyang and the others. Feng Tian, stop. I don't see Lord Divine King here. How can you make decisions on your own? The green-robed old woman saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly shouted. When Demon King Feng Tian heard this, he immediately shivered and turned to look at the Divine King of Primal Chaos. When he saw that the Divine King of Primal Chaos had a sinister look in his eyes, he hurriedly knelt on the ground and said in fear, "This subordinate did not mean to exceed my authority. Please forgive me." Divine King, Feng Tian was impulsive. I hope Lord Divine King can be magnanimous and give him a way out. The other demon kings also spoke one after another, pleading for Demon King Feng Tian. Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. Logically speaking, with their relationship, it was normal for Demon King Feng Tian to want to kill them. But because of this, all the demon kings came out to plead for Demon King Feng Tian. From the looks of it, this seemingly petite Divine King of Primal Chaos was extraordinarily ruthless. The Divine King of Primal Chaos looked at Demon King Feng Tian in silence. This made Demon King Feng Tian break out in cold sweat and panic to the extreme. 10 breaths later, the Divine King of Primal Chaos finally spoke, breaking the dead silence. He said indifferently, "Prepare a seat for them." Hearing this, the demon kings heaved a sigh of relief. Demon King Feng Tian almost collapsed powerlessly. One could imagine how nervous he was in these short 10 breaths. Immediately after, he turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. With a wave of his hand, several stone chairs appeared and were neatly placed on one side of the hall. How could we trouble Lord Demon King to personally prepare seats for us? Madman chuckled, walked over, and sat down. His smug expression made Heaven Flattery Demon King gnash his teeth in anger. Thank you. Qin Feiyang looked at Heavenly Demon King and smiled. He led Li Zhongsheng and the others over and sat down. Don't say it. I'm really flattered by this treatment. Li Zhongsheng winked at Xiao Shui. Don't celebrate too early. Xiao Shui glanced at the 9 demon kings and the Divine King of Primal Chaos, the worry in her heart growing stronger. This was because everyone knew that the Primal Chaos God King was being so polite because of the undead barrier-breaking pellet. Once Qin Feiyang refined the undead barrier-breaking pellet and helped these people get rid of the undead barrier-breaking pellet, his attitude would definitely change. The Divine King of Primal Chaos glanced at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Tell me, what are your conditions?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. So direct? According to the procedure, shouldn't they first be polite and ease the tension between the two sides? I don't like to drag things out. The Divine King of Primal Chaos said indifferently. Is that so? That's right, this junior doesn't like it either. Then this junior will be blunt. If I offend you in any way, I hope that Senior Divine King will be magnanimous enough to forgive me. First, the first condition. The Blood Ancestor and the Feather Emperor stole a secret technique from you back then. Although the Blood Ancestor and the Feather Emperor were indeed in the wrong, so many years have already passed. I sincerely hope that this matter can end here. Of course. We definitely won't return this secret technique. However, this junior can represent the Blood Ancestor and sincerely apologize to Senior Divine King. After saying this, Qin Feiyang got up and bowed deeply to the Divine King of Primal Chaos. The Divine King of Primal Chaos raised his eyebrows and said, "He himself is here. Why do you need to represent him? The Blood Ancestor is a senior, and I respect him greatly. I also know that he doesn't like to lower his head to others, so as a junior, I naturally don't want to see him do something he doesn't want to do. Qin Feiyang smiled. The blood ancestor was extremely moved by these words. Although they hadn't known each other for very long, Qin Feiyang's understanding of him had already far surpassed Li Feng's. The divine king of primal chaos's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise and even a hint of praise. It was rare to see someone like this who was willing to suffer for the sake of protecting the dignity of a senior. Did you see that? I was right, wasn't I? There's nothing to say about his character. Snow Queen chuckled. Humph. Demon King Feng Tian snorted from the side. The divine king of primal chaos pondered for a moment before nodding. Fine, I'll agree to your first condition. In any case, this secret technique doesn't mean much to me. The reason I gave the order to hunt you down was entirely because his and the Feather Emperor's thievery made me very uncomfortable. Most importantly, even after coming to the Sky Bell Divine Treasury, the Blood Ancestor didn't even say a word of apology. The Divine King of Primal Chaos added. Qin Feiyang shook his head and bitterly smiled. There's nothing we can do about it. It's all because you're too strong. There's no chance of taking it by force. Now you're saying that it's our fault? The Divine King of Primal Chaos was amused by Qin Feiyang's words. Was he trying to change the logic? No, no. This junior was just speaking casually. I thought that with our strength, we could shake everything, but when we came to the Sky Bell Divine Treasury, we realized how naive and insignificant we were. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. There's always a taller mountain. This is the law of nature. We've all walked this path. Continue with your second condition. The Divine King of Primal Chaos smiled faintly. The second condition is that Li Feng and the 3 sovereign weapons suppressed by the Black Flame Demon King. I hope that Senior Divine King will release them now. Qin Feiyang said. No problem. The Divine King of Primal Chaos nodded and looked at the Black Flame Demon King. Let them out. Yes. The Black Flame Demon King nodded and waved his hand, causing the Black Flame Demon Castle to appear. Immediately after, a blood-red figure and 3 sovereign weapons appeared from the Black Flame Demon Castle and landed in the main hall. Qin Dage, Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, Lu Ding, the Golden Bell, and the Ancient Pagoda were overjoyed when they saw Qin Feiyang and the others. Come here. Qin Feiyang smiled. Li Feng and the 3 sovereign weapons immediately ran to Qin Feiyang's side. There were a lot of bloodstains on Li Feng's body, but there were no wounds. It was obvious that he had been injured in the past and had now recovered. The bodies of the 3 sovereign weapons of Green Cauldron were shattered. Obviously. In the process of being suppressed, they had suffered quite a bit of damage. Qin Dage, what's going on? Li Feng secretly asked. Can't you hear it in the Black Flame Demon Castle? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. When the Black Flame Demon King imprisoned us, he set up a soundproof barrier, so we couldn't hear anything all these years. Li Feng shook his head. So it's like that. Then we'll talk about it later. Retreat to the side first. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization, then looked at the 3 sovereign weapons of Green Cauldron and said apologetically, I'm sorry for making you suffer so much. Isn't it fine now? No need to blame yourself. The 3 sovereign weapons of Green Cauldron even comforted Qin Feiyang. If the 3 sovereign weapons of Green Cauldron could blame him, Qin Feiyang would feel better in his heart. But now, they comforted him instead, making him feel even more guilty. Are there any more conditions? The Primal Chaos Divine King asked. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 sovereign weapons and transmitted, you guys also rest first. I'll have a good talk with her. Okay. The 3 sovereign weapons also retreated to the side. Qin Feiyang looked at the primal chaos divine king and said with a smile, "Of course there are more than these two conditions." "Qin Feiyang, don't be too greedy." The old woman frowned. "Two conditions are not enough. How big is your appetite?" The old poison muttered, "She is the myriad poisons demon king. So it's her." Qin Feiyang muttered, looked at the myriad poisons demon king, and said with a smile, "Senior, this junior has already talked about it before. You guys are so strong, and you can even command the undead and sovereign weapons of the Sky Bell Divine Treasury. Of course, we can't not be on guard. In the end, isn't it to save our lives?" The Black Flame Demon King sneered. "I won't deny it. But there is one thing you can't deny. If it were you guys today, you would do the same. You might even be greedier than me." Qin Feiyang laughed. The Black Flame Demon King's face sank. They were really becoming more and more unscrupulous. The Primal Chaos Divine King said indifferently, "Don't pay attention to them. Continue." The third condition. "Senior Divine King, please take back the order to kill us and promise not to harm us while we are away from the Sky Bell Divine Treasury. Also, not only does Senior Divine King have to make this promise, but the other sovereign weapons of Senior also have to make this promise. One last point. None of you are allowed to incite the spirits and sovereign weapons of the Sky Bell Divine Treasury to join forces against us." Qin Feiyang looked at the Demon Kings and smiled faintly. Everything had to be considered. If it was just the Primal Chaos Divine King making this promise, it wouldn't be meaningful at all. This was because the Demon Kings and the sovereign weapons of the Primal Chaos Royal City could still kill them. At that time, even if he wasn't convinced, he could find the Divine King of Primal Chaos to reason with him. The Divine King of Primal Chaos could confidently tell him that she didn't do anything. What did the Demon Kings and sovereign weapons have to do with her? Also, the spirits and sovereign weapons of the Sky Bell Divine Treasury couldn't be ignored. Although these spirits and sovereign weapons weren't as strong as the Divine King of Primal Chaos and the other Demon Kings, they had the advantage in numbers. If they joined forces against them under the orders of the Divine King of Primal Chaos and the other Demon Kings, only death would await them. At that time, he would have no choice but to suffer in silence. The Primal Chaos Divine King of Primal Chaos remained unmoved by this condition, but the Black Flame Demon King, Bloodthirsty Demon King, and Heaven Reverence Demon King couldn't help but frown. They were still thinking of eliminating this person after this matter was over. But they hadn't expected this person to be so smart as to propose such a condition in advance. Wasn't this the same as cutting off their killing intent? The Blood Ancestor, Azure Dragon, and the other Demon Kings all had looks of admiration. As expected of Qin Feiyang, he had even considered such details. If it were anyone else facing experts like the Divine King of Primal Chaos, the first thing they would think of would be to obtain more divine items from them. This was because the Divine King of Primal Chaos and the others were bound to have many powerful divine items on them, any one of which could be used for the rest of their lives. But Qin Feiyang didn't. His first consideration was everyone's safety. This was the choice of a smart person. If one's life couldn't be guaranteed, then what was the point of obtaining these divine items? End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.